Second game of a 3-game set. Red Sox took the opener 7-5, and the Orioles trying to get out of a 5-game losing streak. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne, and welcome for the Orioles. They did not lose 5 in a row last season. They're trying to avoid 6 in a row in the ball game here tonight. Offense has been there. Starting pitching is not. We'll see whether or not Wei and Chen can turn that around for the Orioles in this game. A bright light last night, even in a loss. When you get somebody who has spent as much time in the minors as Ray Navarro did, it's kind of fun to watch him in his first major league game. 8 years in the minors where he hit .265. Last year, AA, AAA, signed by the Orioles as a free agent. Here's what it looked like last night. For Navarro, all ends of it were good. He would pick up a double on this one that Ramirez could not handle. That would be his first major league hit. Then on this one, he showed signs of maturity. Could have made that throw, threw it away. He didn't. He held on to it. And then a beautiful sacrifice bunt. In fact, he almost beat this out for a base hit. So a good day all around for Ray Navarro, and a lot to talk about later on. Jim Palmer, he's got one under his belt.
Yeah, one of the premises Buck Showalter talked about is, okay, we're going to have players at AAA that can actually help us if we have injuries. Flaherty was starting to hit. Scope was trying to hit. Flaherty with a groin injury, Scope with the knee injury is probably going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Hopefully it won't be that long, but if it is, you bring up Ray Navarro. As Buck Showalter said yesterday, they had to put him on the 40-man roster because they wanted to make sure nobody else took him. He was in demand. He can play all middle infielders. And as you mentioned last year, all-star team at AA, went to AAA, almost hit 300. Has a little bit of pop, especially hitting against right-handed pitchers. Masterson's right-handed, pitching for the Red Sox. So here's a guy you have a need. He comes up. Did a lot of little things that if you got good pitching, something you talked about, you might have won last night's game. But again, at the end of the day, you give up 7, even though the Orioles, the offense is not a problem. They score 5. It's just not working.
We'll talk about the numbers tonight. If you look at the numbers in the first 5 games played between the Orioles and the Red Sox, you would think the Orioles had won every game. They've had the better of it in virtually every category, except they've been able to find a way to make a mistake or an error or an unearned run in all the games that they've lost.
And then last night, they really kind of got beat at their own game, which is the home run. The Ortiz with a 2-0 lead. Gonzalez real good. He walked with 2 outs. Betts, Pedroia got behind. Single got behind David Ortiz, and as Dave Wallace, the Oriole pitching coach, instead of being able to throw a strike to a ball, he threw a ball to the strike. 3-run home run, hung a slider. Ramirez hit a home run, and then you have the 3-run home run by Holt, Brock Holt hitting it off Darren O'Day. The Orioles usually are the guys hitting the 3-run home run. Last night it was the Red Sox.
And the Orioles up there in unearned run, something that over the Buck seasons here in Baltimore has not been the case. They right now are near the top in unearned runs surrendered. As he continually says, you just cannot give up extra outs. When that happens, you struggle. Right now the Oakland A's, another surprise that they have given up 11 unearned runs. The Orioles and the Yankees at 9, Rangers, Jays at 7. Those are extra opportunities. You give those to an opponent at the major league level, and you will pay.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, to be honest, the Orioles have a lot of new players. I mean, even have some veterans in a sense. Manny Machado, we certainly know that maybe he would have, if you go back and you can in this game, but you go back and look at the play he didn't make last night. But they missed Hardy, they missed Wieters. But at the end of the day, you still have to figure out how to play good ball. That's something the Orioles haven't been able to do.
All right, we'll see if they can get it done here tonight as we get set for game 2 of this 3-game set. It's the Orioles and the Red Sox when we come back to Camden Yards. brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Back here at Camden Yards, a cool evening, much as we had last night. Probably going to even be a little bit cooler. We're down to 52 degrees. For our game time start, it was 59 last night. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. For the Red Sox, it'll be Betts, Pedroia, and Ortiz, Ramirez, Napoli, and Sandoval. Craig gets a start. Bogart's back in, didn't start last night, and Hannigan doing the catching again. Hanley Ramirez over the last 6 is a red-hot hitter.
And Wei Chen, second consecutive start against the Red Sox, lost up in Fenway on Marathon Day. Same pitcher, Justin Masterson, pitched a little bit better. Didn't give up any earned runs. Cold, miserable day. Not that I was there. Mr. Thorne was. But
it was cold, miserable.
Okay, there you go. Fastballs, a lot of them. More changeups than last year, so the numbers may be belie. The one thing that we look at it is right here, the 8 walks. He only walked 35 in 185 innings last year. This year, the control a little bit off. And again, if we look at some of the big innings or some of the innings that have gotten out of hand with all the starters, base on ball has been a big part of it. But the ability when he's on his game, 2-1 lifetime here against the Red Sox with an ERA, even though they do have a little different hitters, the ERA of a very good 3 runs a game.
So we'll see what Wei Chen can do here tonight. The Orioles have given up more walks than any other pitching staff in the American League. And as Buck Showalter noted yesterday, that has got to be cut down. John Russell will be managing the ball club for the ball game as Buck is away. His father-in-law passed away and services were being held today. Buck has gone for that, so John has taken over, held the press conference before the game, and is running the ball club, the Orioles bench coach. And we are ready to go. Mookie Betts with a 2 for 3. The Orioles could not keep him off the base paths last night. And the pitch taken for a strike. John Russell said we saw him in the number 1 spot. What he did in the minors, he's doing the same thing here. And it's exactly what we wanted. He's not going anywhere but into that leadoff spot.
Yeah, hitting about 100 points higher, 300 against lefties. So we will see what the strike zone is tonight. Last night, Dana DeMuth, kind of a wandering strike zone, high early, low on occasion, and then John Farrell certainly wasn't very happy with it.
1-1 delivery on the way, and that is in there for a strike from Chen. Way in at 29 years old, 0-1 against the Red Sox in that start in Boston. He is 5-4 lifetime with a real good 3.97 ERA against them.
Ooh,
and there's the inside corner, and the home plate umpire Will Little calls it a strike.
Yeah, all spring long, Wei Chen trying to can get away, but this is his strength. He's always been a guy when he gets ahead in the count. And remember this, he got ahead. Now he can pitch off the plate. If you're going to pitch inside, a lot easier to do it when the count is even or you're ahead. Perfect pitch. Strikeout number 1.
Pedroia almost 500 against Wei Chen for his career, 15 for 29. An incredible number against anybody with a significant number of at-bats. Pedroia had a 1 for 5 in the ball game last night. The Orioles are playing pretty much straight up. Defensively, it goes to third. Manny Machado in the smooth backhand and a gun.
Take a look at as we look at the Orioles defense last night. I mean, a bullet off the bat of Hanley Ramirez, kind of sidles it, made some nice plays. A nice stretch by Chris Davis. So here it is, the odds of Jones and Snyder. That's the outfield for the Orioles. Machado, Cabrera, Navarro, second day in the big leagues. Chris Davis over first, and Caleb Joseph catching for consecutive evenings. And there's J.J. Hardy, 3-time Gold Glover.
J.J. has been working out. He's not yet rehabbing. He's come back to the ball club today, and they'll make a decision on where he's going to go for rehab games. Ortiz will foul that one back into the screen. Designated hitter, big blow, 3-run homer in the ball game last night, and a 2 for 5 overall. Ortiz also has hit Chen hard, 8 for 23 with a home run lifetime. Talking to the home plate umpire Will Little. Will Little last year was one of the top 3 umpires pitchers wanted most behind the plate. He is a pitcher's umpire. Ball will be foul back. If it's close, the pitcher's going to get the benefit of the doubt if he stays true to what the numbers were last year.
Yeah. Well, right there, Ortiz doesn't really care about the strike zone when he gets a pitch that is hittable, and that was one of them. kind of looked right at him. I'm not sure you really like that when you're pitching. Guy misses a pitch. Okay.
0-2 delivery, and Chen starts it out like a house of fire. He retires all three and did it in a hurry. We'll take a look at the lineup for the O's coming up. Probably Tooth Fairy's coming with a guy on the right. What do you think? He's got a shot at $4 or $5 by the look, so you got to chew in the side there. Just get those fries in there. All right, starting lineup for the Orioles brought to you by Southwest. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Diaz, Paredes, and Jones, Davis, Snyder, and Machado, Navarro, Joseph, and Cabrera at home. The best average in the American League.
And Justin Masterson out of Kingston, Jamaica, 30 years old. He's 2-0. You can see a lot of fastballs and then a very sharp slider last appearance. I think the big number for him, Gary, he pitched, what, about 15 innings this year, yet to give up a home run. What do the Orioles do when they hit well? They hit home runs.
He's the only Red Sox starter who has not surrendered a home run this season. Alejandro Diaz, who's been struggling at the plate, drives that one to center field. Betts actually moved in on it. That ball's going to take a hop off the top of the wall. Played back into the cutoff end, and Diaz, who had been in a slump, gets a double off a guy he has tomahawked. 11 for 37 against him with a home run, and he leads off the ball game with a two-bagger.
Yeah, 3 for his last 26. Did not get this pitch to hit up in Fenway. And Betts, who can really go get him, can't get this one because it sails over his head. And Diaz comes out of the box thinking 3, but he will settle for a double.
That's a feel-good double for him with the numbers he was not putting up. And a little move in by Betts in center on that. Not that he would have gotten it anyway, but he kind of came in, leaned in, and then went backwards.
Well, we can tell you the hardest play is usually the line drive that you don't get a good read on, but
here's Paredes. He will take the pitch for a strike at the knees. You watch Betts in his initial reaction on this. The ball's hit.
And you can see how shallow he is. And then, you run out of room very quickly here. You look at Fenway, you think, okay, you got the green monster, 37-foot wall. But you do have some room in center and right field, especially right center. A little bit different here at Camden Yards.
So the Orioles right away get an opportunity with the runner in scoring position. They were 1 for 6 in the ball game last night in these situations. Orioles ended up stranding 5. The Red Sox 7 last night.
Well, you at least want to get them over if you don't get them in.
That may get them in down the line. That's going to be a base hit into the corner. On his way home is Diaz. On his way to second. Paredes has picked up a double and an RBI. And boy, he continues hot at the plate. And the Orioles have a 1-0 lead. What a job he has done. Asking to fill in. He's doing more than fill in.
Well, he just covers the outside corner. We saw him in Toronto, hit a home run. So again, back-to-back starts, and it's difficult because hitters adjust. And if you pitched him away in Fenway, if you're a hitter now, and he did that a lot, then you go, okay, I'm going to make him get me out inside. I'm going to look away. Diaz got a ball in the middle of the plate, and Paredes, that wasn't a horrible pitch, but his approach was, I'm going to go attack the outside corner, and able to do it.
He's got 5 RBIs on the season. Here's Adam Jones. Jones will take the pitch for a strike. Adam has got a 7 for 30 lifetime against Justin Masterson. Told you he's leading all hitters in that home batting average in the American League, and leads the American League overall in average. Masterson's delivery to him, a comebacker, runner going to third, knocks it down and gets the out, as Paredes will move over to third base on the 1-3 putout. That'll bring up Chris Davis in our American Standard. Who and who not? Well, Chris Davis is on the left side of this one. This season, you see the numbers against Boston: 2 home runs, 3 RBIs. McNapoli on the other side, not hitting just 111. Celebrate the season with the American Standard All-Star event. Visit MidAtlanticComfort.com for amazing rebate and financing opportunities. Now the infield will shift, but will play in. John Farrell is here in the first inning. He's going to try and cut that run down on a ground ball, and the breaking ball will miss outside.
Yeah, so Masterson, obviously, Davis, Chris does strike out a lot, 27 times, 59 at bats. Hit a home run last night, monster shot right center. So he's looking to strike out. He is a ground ball pitcher, hasn't thrown a home run, and Chris is trying to get something into the air.
Davis with a home run in the ball game last night, fouls that one off the leg, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Masterson is always up there among the top 5 in percentage of ground balls compared to fly balls. He's 60% so far this year of the outs have been recorded on the ground. Now the Orioles are the first team to get a hit against him with a runner in scoring position here early in the ball game. Pitch on the way to him, and that will be in there for a strike. And the Orioles, Davis at 1-2. Infield stays in. It's a weird looking arrangement when you have this infield in and shifted around. All that room between the third baseman and the shortstop is over there on that side of the bag. 1-2 delivered to Davis, off speed outside.
Yeah, we saw Hannigan diving all over the place last night. Rick Porcello had very good stuff. You know, good sinker, 4-seamer, good curveball, but a lot of times missed his spot. And right there sitting in, and had to try to catch a backdoor breaking ball.
Runner at third, only 1 out. 2-2 delivery. Davis up in the air. That'll get it in. Craig is playing right field. It's deep. He'll make the catch, tagging up. Paredes will score. The Orioles have a 2-0 lead and an RBI sac fly for Chris.
Well, this game is a game of momentum, and the way we kind of commented between innings, that was a quick inning. Chen comes out. You know, this is a team that did hit 3 home runs against him last night. He establishes his turf, and then the Orioles hit back-to-back doubles. Jonesy gets the second double, Paredes over, and then Chris Davis gets a hanging breaking ball, and all of a sudden you got a 2-0 lead.
And for Chris, that'll be RBI number 9 on the year for him. So the bases now are cleared, and here is Snyder. Travis Snyder. Orioles getting the left-handed bats in against Masterson. Lefties hitting .273 and right-handers $185. Ground ball with a little shift on Bogart's perfectly positioned. He'll make the play, and that'll do it. But the Orioles come through here. A couple of runs on 2 hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. And after 1, it's the O's 2-zip. Orioles get a couple. We want to welcome those of you who had been watching the Nationals game. 8-0 loss to Miami. We welcome you to bonus coverage here on Masson. Gary Thorne, Jim Palmer. The Orioles jumping out in the first inning. 2 runs on 2 hits to take the lead. Other final that came in today, and a familiar name involved in it. The Detroit Tigers got a victory over the Cleveland Indians today, 4-1. Alfredo Simon, remember him? He is 4-0 with a 1.65 ERA. He has 25 strikeouts in 27 innings pitched.
He's really pitched well. I was talking to actually somebody there was at the game, and they said what impressed him, not only the stuff but the feel for pitching. And and that, of course, we used to call him Simone. I just think now he goes as Alfredo Simon. When you're 4-0, you can call yourself anything you want to, really.
Ramirez will take it inside, and the count goes to 2-0.
We're going to see Ed Farmer when he comes in with the White Sox. And Earl Weaver never knew his first name. He finally said, "Hey, really, you can call me anything you want as long as you keep me on the team."
And Chen will miss away. So Ramirez leading it off here. 2 for 5 home run in the ball game last night. Gets the 3-0 edge. See if he hacks anyway. He does not. Had nothing to swing at, so nothing close. And a leadoff walk. Tomorrow the Orioles will wrap up this 3-game series against Boston. Special Sunday afternoon matinee, 1:35. Good seats still remain for this great rivalry. Show your Birdland pride. Help paint the park orange. It's going to be a great family day here at Camden Yards. Tickets 888-848-BIRD or Orioles.com. So Ramirez on, Napoli up, demolishing the batter's box line, as the home plate umpire and catcher have already done to the catcher's box line.
Well, you can see the white chalk that he kicked out of the way. There's Napoli right on the back edge of it too, maybe outside. You talked about base on balls and the Orioles leading the American League pitchers in that. So here we go. I mean, not only are they walking a lot of people, they're scoring quite often. It's almost like sometimes when you get a little defensive, you're afraid to pitch to contact, and that gets you in a lot of problems.
Yep. Napoli up there. He's been struggling at the plate. Puts that one down the line, and that's a home run. Goodbye, Homer, off the fair pole. That ball just kept going. It did not curve towards the seats as would be expected. It hit the fair pole, and Napoli's got himself a home run, breaking an 0 for 10 that he was in. And that is his 3rd career home run off Chen, and it's 2-2.
And first of the year. You can see, he misses ball 1. He's looking fastball outside third. Not a horrible pitch. He thinks he popped it up, and maybe for him, because he's big and strong, he did. But right off the fair pole, foul pole, whatever you want to call it, because if it hits it, it is fair, and then it shoots right down. So there goes your 2-0 lead.
Wow.
So again, it's not always the walk, it's what happens afterwards.
So the 2-run homer by Napoli ties the ball game up. Really, I don't think there was anybody in the ballpark who thought there was going to be a home run, including Napoli, who just kept waiting for it to go foul, and it wouldn't. So here is Sandoval, the switch hitter. Sandoval had a 2 for 3 in the ball game last night, still looking for his first hit right-handed. He's 0 for 13, and he takes the big rip. Chen has now surrendered 4 home runs on the season, all to right-handers. Two ball, 1 strike delivery. This chopped foul.
Yeah, when you see Pablo Sandoval hit, and we saw it last night, I mean, he dumped a single into left. He was sky one the next time, routine fly ball, maybe a double in Boston, but an out here at Camden Yards, then hanging breaking ball. He served that into right field, hit a little bit harder. He's got a pretty good idea what the bat head is.
That ball will be in the air to left, not particularly deep. De Aza in, and he will make the catch, and Sandoval's retired. Wei-Yin Chen, the opposite of Masterson on the other side. Chen is a fly ball pitcher by almost the same number. 61% of the outs he's recorded this season have been in the air.
Which is fine, again, if you get ahead. Because when you get ahead, you can aim for the corners. When you get behind, you have to pitch more in the middle of the plate. And that's what major league hitters like.
So here is Craig getting a start. He got one at bat in the ball game last night coming off the bench. First pitch will go to short. Cabrera's up. Gets it over there in time to record the out. And Craig is the second out in the second inning. Only 9 pitches thrown in the first inning by Chen when he retired the side in order. A little more here in this one as he's up to 21. Here is Bogaerts, another struggling Red Sox hitter. He's had 1 hit in his last 15 at bats. He too getting the start here against the left-hander. He is 3 for 11, and the pitch will be inside to him for a ball. He's had 1 home run, one of the 3 hits off Chen. Delivered a long ball.
And you can see a pretty good batting average at over 300 because he's got 5 multi-hit games already. Good thing about, I think, for John Farrell, and we saw it last night, you get a guy that's slumping, young player. He's going to play a lot. He's their regular shortstop, but you had Brock Holt to substitute. And what does Holt do? It's a 3-run home run, also another base hit.
John was saying before the game today, asked about Holt, how tough is it to keep him out of there? He said it's tough. He said, but I've got a lot of players here. It's about the team. I got to get guys at bats, even if Holt is red hot. And particularly in a situation like this where Bogaerts struggling a little bit right now. Here's a left-hander. He's got a better chance of picking the pace up at the plate against a lefty. So John said, I got to get him in there and get him going. 3-1 delivery on the way, and that will be a strike taken, and it's full 3-2.
Yeah, otherwise, if Shane Victorino, who went on the DL, I mean, he was out on the field, he actually looked pretty good, but has a hamstring problem. If he's there, then you really don't have a lot of room for Alan Craig. And
inside out pop-up. First base Davis called off. Navarro's there to put it away. So a couple of runs on 1 hit. The homer by Napoli has tied the ball game up at 2. Has won 500 for being selected to get 500 more for every Orioles home run hit tonight. Play baseball buck scratch offs went up to 50,000 or enter non-winning tickets for a chance to be the contestant of the game. Visit mdlottery.com/baseball. John Farrell, I was joking with him before the game somewhat. I said, you've been fine, John? In our Major League notebook, is it a fine? He said last night after the game, the strike zone tonight was horrific, referring to last night. I'll be honest with you, it was horrific. Dana DeMuth is a much better umpire than that. We've seen it in the past, but tonight was so inconsistent. There's Dana DeMuth, the crew chief, down there at third. That ball in the air to the gap, left center field. Manny Machado got a lot of it, and it comes off the wall. He'll head into second base, and so far it's a doubles night for the Oriole hitters. 3 hits, and they're all 2-baggers.
Not the first time somebody has said, give me a couple of doubles. That's 3 on the night already. So again, fastballs early on. Here's another one. And it ends up in the middle of the plate. So Masters has said, well, I wasn't very good in the first. They get me 2 to get it even. And then the Orioles do exactly the way the game started. Diaz with a double. Now here in the second from Manny Machado.
5-game hit streak now for Manny. He's on at second base. Playing the bunt first and third is Navarro, who had a sacrifice last night in his major league debut, and he will take the pitch for a strike.
Yeah, they really do play an aggressive bunt situation, which could be the case here. He may get him over or try to hit something. You know, Napoli comes in on the first pitch, now backs up at first.
And a chopper off him at the plate.
There's a good sinker, and then Sandoval will now move back at third base, but he comes in just in case Ray Navarro had any inkling of bunting. Now back to a normal position.
Masterson's last outing on that rainy day in Boston against the Red Sox, he said after the game, best pitch I had that helped me in the ball game, the slider. Said I've got to throw more of them. That's going to make me a better pitcher than I was last year, and the best way to do it, he said, is to throw it for strikes and good counts. It will be beneficial for me if I'm going to be successful.
Yeah, the other thing they're banking on, he had a knee problem, missed almost the whole month of July, and then got traded to the Cardinals. Typical year.
1-2 is popped up. That'll be played by the shortstop. Bogarts backing up, and he's got it. One down. Machado remains at second. When the Orioles win, everyone wins. When the Orioles win and score 5 or more, you get 50% off regular menu price online orders at papajohns.com by entering promo code Orioles5. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's valid at participating Baltimore area Papa John's. So now with one away, Caleb Joseph hit a 1 for 2 in the ball game last night. Great numbers for him. 341, a homer, and 4 RBIs. There's a slider way up high and a 1-0 count.
Yeah, that's the pitch Navarro popped up, the slider, and that's why he's tough. I mean, Justin Masterson, he's a big guy, 6'6", you know, probably in the mid 250 range, and if you're right-handed, pretty much steps at you, or at least that's the feeling. There's another breaking ball. I think that's pretty much what he was talking about, Gary. You get into a fastball count. He's given up 3 doubles on his fastball. If you're Caleb, you have the luxury because you have 3 strikes to work with. He's looking fastball and throws him a nice little breaking ball.
1 ball, 1 strike count. Runner off second, ground ball. Bogarts charging, bare hands it. Well, they'll put it in the glove. Actually, makes the play. Knew he had time. Moving over, Manny Machado goes to third base, 2 down. On Monday, the Orioles will face the White Sox. Game 1 of a 3-game series. Good seats remain, including Tuesday's Ollie's Bargain Night, presented by Ollie's Bargain Outlet. All upper reserves are only $10 when purchased in advance. Get your Birdland summer started. Tickets, Orioles.com, or 888-848-BIRD. 2 away. Here's Cabrera. He had a 1 for 2 in the ball game last night. Cabrera will take it for a strike. 2 down and a runner on at third base. Cabrera has become the ground ball hitting batter of the American League so far this season. 72% of the balls he's hit in play have been on the ground. Bogarts got it. He'll make the play, and that will retire the side. No runs despite the leadoff double, and a runner left on at third. 2-2. ball game tonight, brought to you by Miller Lite. So a 2-2 ball game as we go to the third inning. Good crowd on hand here tonight. Wei-Yin Chen will work to the Red Sox, and Hannigan batting ninth will be followed by Betts and Pedroia. Hannigan had an 0 for 4 in the ball game last night.
Yeah, 8 and 4. Those are the numbers on the year. 8 and 4 when he catches.
He is 2 for 10 with a home run lifetime off Wei-Yin Chen. And the delivery is in there for a strike. Wei-Yin follows in the footsteps of Chen Chen, not related. It was the first Taiwanese born major league player. Came over and played in 1999. San Bernardino had a great season. That ball down the line in right field. Snyder coming over. He gets under it. You put it away. Hannigan is retired. Our Maryland Live Casino inside the numbers. Take a look at the highest starter ERA.
Yep. And then last year, second half of the year, the lowest. In fact, the last 4 months, ERA is about 2.88. Yeah, if you go back and look at 2014, the highest ERA, a little bit over 4.5 runs a game, was in the month of April. Right a little bit, a couple of ticks over 4 in May, and then every other month 3 or lower. That's how good they were.
Leadoff batter is Betts, called out on strikes his first time up. Mookie Betts. Chen working in a hurry. I'll tell you about that first Taiwanese player. Chen ended up playing for the Dodgers. Debuted in 2002 and played for the Dodgers. Not a lot. 2002 to 2005. Man, he had a season that 1999 year at Class A San Bernardino. He hit .316 with 31 home runs and 31 steals. 123 RBIs. Coming over from Taiwan to play. And he finished up with the Dodgers. Chen ended up going back to play some Taiwanese baseball and international ball. 1-2 delivery on the way, and that one's going to be fouled back, and it'll stay at 1-2. So Wei-Yin Chen following in the footsteps. Only been about, I think it's 7 players, Taiwanese background. 29 years old, lifetime, 35-25 record for Wei-Yin Chen. 1-2 is down low.
Yeah, struck out Mookie Betts up and in, and what we saw last year has pretty good bat speed. He's only about 5'9", but he can get the bat head out in front pretty good.
Getting the go up high again. That's strikeout number 3.
Yeah, up the ladder, and he chases. Nice pitch here. I mean, he misses his spot. You can see Caleb Joseph down and in. He's got to reach back, but again, good late life.
So 2 down. Buck Showalter's back. So he is. He thought he might get back in time. So John Russell will go back to being the bench coach. Fills him in on what's gone on so far. 2 down, nobody on. Pedroia grounded out his first time up. John was hitting fungos as he always does for the game today. I said, John, skippers don't have to hit fungos. He said, tell Buck that. And then I said, is Buck going to get back? He said, I told him if he lands a BWI and the Orioles are ahead, stay at the airport.
Right.
1-1 delivery on the way down to third base, and that is foul.
Well, when you've lost 5 in a row, the only important thing, and both John Russell on the left and Buck Showalter know, is what's it going to look like when the Red Sox get their last at bat? Are you ahead at that point? Because that'll break the losing scheme.
Trying not to lose that 6th in a row. John, you see, recapping the events of the day for Buck. 1 ball, 2 strike count on Pedroia. Pedroia grounded out his first time up. And the 1-2 delivery on the way ripped. Manny Machado has it up, throws, and he got him. And that's the look of the Platinum Glove. Side retired in order, and a great defensive play. Not only did he get it in the glove, but you got Pedroia, who charges down the line, and Chen says, thank you. on hand, threw out the first pitch, autographing his new book, Recipes to Cook with Family and Friends. The James Beard finalist, has some wonderful restaurants, including the Agio restaurant, which is here in downtown Baltimore. He cooked up his special chili dog tonight, and we, of course, had to partake. There it is.
Yeah.
A magnificent chili dog, and all of the proceeds, he sold them here at the ballpark tonight, go to the No Kids Hungry work across America to feed kids. Want to thank the Angelos family and Masson for being contributing to that, for providing us with the hot dogs, and we're going to enjoy it. We thank Brian Vitaggio for being here.
Yeah,
tonight.
he was pretty excited, had his Oriole hat, and then of course he threw out the first pitch, threw a strike.
He's been a lifelong Oriole fan,
and he's a quick learner, because I told him, whatever you do not go on the dirt, and he didn't.
He stayed with us.
So it might have been more like pony league distance, but it worked. Threw a strike, and of course has a couple of restaurants in downtown Baltimore.
Yes, and we're
well,
going
Top
to,
Chef, I think, is. You live in the reality show world. You're very. I told him, I said, I actually watch your. I've seen you. He said, I find that hard to believe. I said, yeah, right after Housewives of Orange County.
Yeah, that's right. You just happen to be on after that, and I don't change the channel.
Exactly.
Well, he's got 9 restaurants: Volt and Lunchbox and Range. Agio's got 2 locations, 4 locations of family meal restaurants. That's going to be caught by Pedroia, as he timed it perfectly, and Diaz will be retired after doubling and scoring his first time up.
Well, of course, he hasn't gotten over the Manny Machado to rob him of the base hit. So touche right here. I mean, double the first time, BB. Well, Glover.
Smiling in conversation with Napoli at first.
By me.
Here's Paredes. Paredes with a double and an RBI in the first. He and Diaz had back-to-back doubles. And the pitch is a strike on the outside corner. 1 down, 3rd inning. A 2-2 ball game. Paredes is putting on a show since arriving here for the Orioles. 9 hits, are extra base hits. 3 doubles, couple of home runs included. And that ball's another base hit as he goes the other way. That was riding in on his fist. Paredes 2 for 2, a 1-out single.
Yeah, but he might have got up on the label a little bit, but he stayed inside it. I think the word is going to get out with a lot of scouts here. He likes to hit the fastball. Now it's inside. The double was away, and you could see him actually bring the hands in and stay inside the ball. And when you do that, you can use the middle or maybe the opposite field a little bit more adeptly, and that's exactly what he does. Get on for the big boys.
So Masterson has allowed 4 hits now. But Paredes 3 multi-hit games already. He'll be held by Napoli over there at first base. Adam Jones had a comebacker to Masterson his first time up. Adam 7 for 31 off the right-hander. And he'll take the pitch outside for a ball. Masterson has struggled here in this ballpark. Here at Camden Yards, his record is 2-4, and his ERA is 7.7 in the games that he's pitched here at Camden Yards. Set up outside, 1-0 delivery. That's going to get away. Going down to second base, Paredes.
Yeah, like throwing another double. He's already thrown 3 and give up a base hit and then a wild pitch.
Second wild pitch of the year by Masterson.
Well, that's the breaking ball you were talking about. He started it almost in the middle of the left-handed hitting batter's box and then right by Hannigan. I told you, I mean, he was like a goalie trying to keep the puck from getting into the crease last night, getting behind him.
And Farrell doing some pacing over there. Orioles getting base runners on here. First 3 innings.
Yeah, that's a high ERA for a ground ball pitcher, even though this is a home run ballpark. There's over 7 runs a game.
And that is taken for a strike. The Orioles are already 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. All of last night they were 1 for 6. They're really getting some chances early here in the ball game. Pedroia is holding the runner. Paredes at second base. Masterson's delivery, that's a looper, right field, should fall. It will. Paredes, though, is going back to the bag. Paredes did not get a good read on it, had to wait. And with Craig coming in, he went back to second base. Base hit for Jones.
Yeah, got doubled off on Toronto on a line drive that Adam hit to the first baseman. But right here again, you know, obviously if you get a good read, you can see him hesitate. Now he's going back because he doesn't know if he's going to catch it. Ideally, obviously, you look around, you see where they're playing, but the last thing you want to do with Chris Davis coming up is get doubled off second base to end the inning.
So now the Orioles have runners at first and second. Again, shift on. They'll play it at double play depth. Chris had a sacrifice RBI. First time to the plate. Chris at 5 for 16 with runners in scoring position. That's a .313 average. Good number for him. And that one just kind of slung in there, nowhere near the strike zone, and that will send Anaheim out.
Well, if you look at Justin Masterson, it's kind of like there are guys that actually, when you putt on the PGA Tour, they look at the hole, they don't look at the ball. And what he does, he looks at second base and starts delivering. Normally, you look back, you look, but you at least pick up home plate, and he's real late with his head to do that. Take a look. I mean, right here, he's going to go. See,
1-0 delivery away.
I mean, even just a slight more delay where you maybe pick the home plate up a little bit.
See your target.
Yeah, because that's what you're aiming at. I mean, most guys throw off the hitter, righty to a lefty. First thing you see would be Ryan Hannigan's glove.
2-0 count, one down to Davis. Infield looking for the ground ball for the double play, which the Orioles have hit into a lot of. That one almost gets away. Hannigan was looking for a pitch away, and it came inside and low. 3-0.
I would imagine Chris Davis would have the green light here. And if you're Justin Masterson, since you don't know that, you still need to make a quality pitch. You got to throw a strike, but Chris's strength is out over the plate.
Paredes on at second base. Jones on at first. 3-0 delivery on the way. Davis had a green light. Fair ball. Knocked down by Napoli. Only plays it first. They'll get the out. And Masterson turns to make sure Paredes stays at third base. So the runners are advanced. Good knockdown by Napoli, though, and there are two down.
Yeah, that was a bullet. I mean, a BB. I told you, talking about it last year, and I mean, that's exactly what you want to do if you're going to swing away 3-0. You get your pitch. He did inside middle, and he hit it hard, but right at the first baseman. That's one of those quality at bats. You can see him hook it, and this is where if you're not playing the shift where you're playing him to pull, that's all you really have to do right there, and then just hope your pitcher covers, and Masterson did.
Toby Basner, first base umpire, right on it with a call. So two down. Snyder, who grounded out his first time up, looking for a couple of RBIs with a base hit here. He's done a great job in these situations. 5 for 11 so far this season. That's a .455 average. And he's got a couple here who will take off on contact. And the off-speed delivery is going to miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. Masterson has had trouble working out of the stretch in the 3 starts he's had this year. With runners on, opponents hitting .280 against him. When he's in the full windup, only .200. So a substantial difference, even though it's only through 3 games. And that pitch in the dirt, yeah. Hannigan saves a run right there. Boy, Hannigan's had to go all over the place.
Yeah, it almost looks like a changeup, but it's actually just a sinking fastball. Because as you talked about, Gary, a lot of ground balls, so you can see the left to right turn, and then he does look like a goalie. Just give him a few more pads, and he'd be on. And maybe some goalies have skates, I assume, right?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Good idea. 2-1 delivery on the way, and the off-speed pitch swung on and missed.
Well, there's a nice breaking ball. And Travis Snyder, he does a nice job of actually having pretty calm at bats, but it tells you how late breaking and how hard it is to pick up the slider.
How about the movement on that? Started out looking like a strike and then was way inside and low. So Snyder 2-2, 2 down and 2-1, and a 2-2 ball game. Deuce is wild here for the moment. And a timeout asked for by Snyder. Big early moment in the ball game. Chance for the Orioles to get that lead back. Masterson's pitch to him. That's a strike. Caught the outside corner. First strikeout is a big one. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left in scoring position. 2-2. By Southwest Airlines. Book your low fares now at southwest.com. Gary Thorne, Jim Palmer with you. Ball game tied at 2-2. 2-5-0 for the Orioles. 2-1-0 for the Red Sox. And that's kind of the way it's gone with the Red Sox against the Orioles in the games played. Orioles have won 2 and lost 3 against them. Orioles are hitting .281 against Boston. Red Sox are hitting .219 against the Orioles, yet they have won 3 of the 5 games. Orioles ERA 2.83 against Boston. Red Sox ERA over 4. All the numbers favor the Orioles except wins and losses.
But
and the pitch is strike.
What that doesn't factor in are the walks.
Yeah.
And just going to make a little aside here. Joey Chestnut, the famous hot dog, has nothing on you the way you went through most of that.
Did you like that?
I'm telling you. I can just see you in Atlantic City, a world champion. If you have time.
Only if Vitaggio's there.
Well,
his cheese,
that was pretty tasty.
His cheese is delicate. It's
delicate.
an unbelievable cheese
Delicate
on top
cheese.
of that chili hot
yes.
dog. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Foul back and out of play.
I never would have thought. I mean, a chili dog with a delicate.
It is.
Coating of cheese.
It is aerated cheddar and scallions.
I knew that.
I know you did.
I knew.
I was just reminding you.
Yeah.
That's why it's so delicate. Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way, which is why I ate it so delicately. Not. 2 ball, 2 strike count
well,
on
I'll
Ortiz.
tell you right now, I am going to get the cookbook.
You are?
Yes.
Yes.
Just want to know where and when.
Tomorrow at the restaurant.
Exactly. Wait a minute. I think I.
You looking for him? He's still here? 2-2 count. Ortiz strikeout victim his first time up. 4th inning. Crowd settling in for another anticipated close ball game between these 2 teams.
Get the right hand up.
3-2.
A very discerning eye for Mr. Ortiz. Thinks it's low.
And it was. By that much. Here's the 3-2 delivery on the way, and Ortiz will pop it up. Adam Jones. Wind is picked up. You saw Adam having to play that. There was no wind at the start of the game. It's blowing out towards left field right now.
Yeah, nice pitch because he, 91 inner half, so David can't quite get to it, so he skies it. It's a home run he hit last night, Scott. So right here, I mean, all of a sudden it's. And this is when all of a sudden Adam Jones says, oh, a little gust there. You're such a sheltered ballpark because of the warehouse, the B&O warehouse out in right field. And then, of course, you have the high stands. It is open in center field here, but the wind certainly affecting that ball.
Here is Ramirez, who takes it for a strike. Ramirez drew a walk, scored. Only walk surrendered by Chen so far, and it crossed the plate. Ramirez off to an outstanding start for them. Fouled off hard outside the first baseline. 0-2. John Farrell said today, I know that his play in left field is not affecting him, because every day he comes into the clubhouse the same smiling, cheerful guy that we saw when he first arrived at spring training. That he just comes in, enjoys the game, and just trying to get better at it in left. 0-2 pitch, base hit the other way. That was against the shift. Navarro had been moved over towards second, and normally that would have been right at the second baseman. 1 out, 1 on. Not too late to upgrade your summer. The Orioles partial season plans available. Members enjoy exclusive ticket savings, Major League's most flexible exchange policy, access to postseason tickets, and orange carpet benefits. 13 game plans still available. For details, Orioles.com/season. One down, and that'll be hit number 2 for the Red Sox. Napoli had hit number 1, a 2 RBI homer, his first home run of the season. So Napoli is now 4 for 19, and 3 of the 4 hits he's had off Chen have been home runs.
Well, high ball pitcher and high ball hitter. A lot of times, you know, you're pretty good at what you do, and that way Chen won 16 games last year. The matchups aren't as good as others.
Runner at first. Napoli hits it hard to the hole. Manny Machado can't get that one.
They said there's another classic example. It's not a horrible field, but yet pitch, but you have a strong hitter, you have a high ball hitter, and he gets the ball up in the zone to hit. Wei Chen is more of a power pitcher. I don't mean 93 to 95, but you know, he likes to ride the ball in. He's been trying to turn it over, maybe throw more changeups. We showed you what 14% changeups, highest he's thrown in any of his years with the Orioles. And this is the 4th year.
And that will bring up Sandoval with 2 on and 1 out. Red Sox 2 for 5 last night with runners in scoring position. Sandoval himself 2 for 12 in the year. Chen's delivery in the dirt.
See, and what they've done, because this is a good hitting team. I mean, you got Sandoval, 294 lifetime hitter. You got Ramirez, who started this 1-out rally. He's a 300 hitter. You had Ortiz, who he did get out. He's around 285 lifetime, 290 as a Red Sox. So now they've eliminated the change up and even the breaking ball till they get to 2 strikes, because he's not really throwing many of them over. They're hitting off the fastball, and it's fine if he makes his pitches. If he doesn't, they're ready.
Now in his starts, this is start number 4 for Wei Chen. Nobody's had a hit off him yet with a runner in scoring position. The opponents are 0 for 14 this year. And here's a chance for the Red Sox, their first of the ball game. 1-1 delivery, and that one is going to be popped up into right. Snyder, runner staying. He'll put it away. 2 down. Ramirez back to second, and Napoli back to first.
No, this will be a nice matchup. Even though Alan Craig really struggled when he went to the Red Sox, you're talking about a guy that's going to come to the plate 2 consecutive years. 2012, he hit .454 with runners in scoring position, and then the next year .400, and those are amazing numbers.
He gets a chance here with 2 away. Real bad weather in Chicago today. They blew those games off about 8 o'clock this morning. Both the White Sox and the Cubs playing at home, and both were canceled today. So Craig with 2 on and 2 down. Chen's delivery to him. The high strike will be called. That one kind of veered back in over the plate after he'd lifted his arms up.
He just kind of looks back at Will Little and says, I'd rather be hitting 1-0 than 0-1. And you know, whether you're pitching, you're hitting, there's really nothing you can do about it. It's his strike zone. It was Dana Demue's strike zone last night. You got to live with it.
A 1 delivery by Chen. Just missed inside with it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I still remember a couple of years ago, and I'm listening to Paul O'Neill, who does, you know, who's a terrific hitter, hit 305 straight years for the Yankees, won a batting title, and he said when you don't really know what the strike zone is for an umpire and you get to 2 strikes and then the ball comes by the plate, you just kind of hold your breath. because you don't know if it's going to be ball or strike.
1-1 delivery. That's going to be lifted for a base hit. Diaz is up. Runner coming. Here's a throw. They should have him by a mile. Joseph waiting. He is out at the plate. Ramirez trying to score from second. Diaz got it in to Caleb Joseph.
And here comes
Did he block the plate? Did he give him a lane? He's got the ball and he's got the out. And now Farrell is going to look to his video person to see whether or not he wants to challenge.
Yeah, he moves out of the way to give him the outside corner, and then catches him up the line. And I mean, again, like we said last night, what do you have to lose not to have a challenge? And apparently they just feel like he did it the right way. Great throw by Diaz.
Great play at the plate. Ends it. Couple of hits, 2 left on. The Orioles able to get the early lead first inning. RBIs by Paredes and Davis. Red Sox came back 2-run homer Napoli in the second. Good play to end that last inning as the Red Sox scored no runs on 3 hits and 2 left on. Joseph had that plate covered.
And he has a nice scoop, charged the ball, did everything he needed to do, and then had a perfect throw.
Remember, once a catcher, even under the new rules instituted with the replay, once a catcher's got the ball, you can block the plate. Here's Manny Machado. Machado will take it outside. Or Manny, a double. He was stranded in the second inning after he led that inning off with the 2-bagger. Machado, Navarro, and Joseph do up against Masterson. Number fair. 1 away.
Yeah, nice 2-0. I mean, you still got to throw strikes. The last time he got behind Manny, he doubled up the gap, and that time, to me, it looked like a changeup. Doesn't throw very many. And Manny chased it because it was down in the zone and it had good movement.
Masterson getting his 2 wins in the opener against Philadelphia and that last outing against the Orioles, where he had to work only 5 innings, giving up a run on 3 hits. His loss came against, or non-decision rather, against Washington.
Again, it's only 3 games, but they were coming in 9.19 runs per game. That'll work.
That'll get you some wins.
Yeah. Well, we saw Porcello last night. He's a new starter for him. He's capable of pitching 200 innings with a lot of wins. Miley tomorrow, he has pitched close to 200 the last 2 to 3 years. And the same thing with Justin Masterson. So they may not be on your list of #1 guys, but they can give you a lot of innings, and if the Red Sox score runs, like people think they're going to score runs. They could be very effective pitchers until you get to the playoffs, and then maybe the matchups.
It all changes there. It's a different game.
It really
right?
does, yeah.
The Red Sox coming in 10th in average with 4th in runs. That's a big differential. Taking advantage of it with runners on base, and they have drawn the most walks, tied for first in the American League, coming in with 72.
Well, wait, what?
196
with runners in scoring position. That went to 203.
3-2. Got him to go after one that came down and in.
A young player to the big leagues, and then we talked about what does Justin Masterson do. He's a big guy at 6'6", arms and legs, and then he swings at a ball that's obviously out of the zone. I wonder how you can do that. It's easy because of again the deception and the movement of the pitches.
So 2 away, nobody on. Caleb Joseph. Caleb grounded out his first time up. 12 hits in his last 29 at bats. Pops it up. Hannigan coming over and will not have a play. For the last 9 ball games, hitting at .429. He's been on base in all of the last 13 games he's played in, and has hit safely in 10 out of 13. So Caleb really off to a fine offensive start for the Orioles, who do not know when Matt Wieters, their #1 catcher, will be returning. Here's the 0-1 delivery on the way, and there's that sweeping breaking ball again. 0-2. Masterson, the 0-2 pitch, and a check and a strikeout. Punched out by Toby Basner. A 1-2-3 inning, 2 strikeouts in the inning, and 3 in the ball game. It remains tied at 2-2. Adventure, their fresh local seafood and the eclectic array of world-class cuisine. And Savor Sarasota Restaurant Week's coming up June 1 through the 14th, celebrating its 10th year. Get more information at savorsarasota.com. 2-2 ball game. Game 2 of the 3-game set. Back with you tomorrow afternoon for the Sunday game as Bud Norris 0-2 against Wade Miley 1-1. O's extra at 1 o'clock. Ball game at 1:30. Orioles come in 7-10, 3 games behind the Red Sox, who are tied for first. The Red Sox are 10-7 early on, and a check swing by Bogaerts. Bogaerts popped out his first time up. Boston, New York. The Yankees both have 10 wins. Tampa Bay, Toronto 9. The Orioles 7. On the inside corner to Bogaerts. 1-1.
Well, Matt Harvey took care of the Yankees today. Back from the Tommy John surgery. He and his offense, I think, got 8 runs for him.
1-1 delivery on the way, foul back. Mets had their 11-game win streak ended by the Yankees last night, and then come right back and beat them 8-2 in the ball game today. Mets still on top in the Central. They've got 13 wins on the year now. The Mets lead the majors in wins. And a swing and a miss. Chen gets the strikeout.
Yeah, his hard slider is a very effective pitch. And again, what's the equation? What's the formula? Get ahead. It's such a good and well located pitch. You think it's going to be over the plate, and then the late break on it. And Bogart's pretty disciplined hitter. He swings right over.
One away. Hannigan hitting ninth, flied out to right field. His first time up. And that's on the inside corner for a strike. Red Sox came into this ball game hitting only 198 against left-handed pitchers. Now it's early, and those numbers can vary in a heartbeat if you have a hot night against a lefty. They have only 4 hits in this one off Chen, and a 1-ball 1-strike count.
Well, Daniel Nava, I thought when I looked at the numbers this morning, he was what, 7 for 16 lifetime off of Wei and Chen. But again, John Farrell trying to get guys into the lineup. That's why Alan Craig is playing. He came up with a base hit, but Piazza with a great throw to nail Ramirez at the plate.
Defensive play of the ball game so far.
Well, there have been some outstanding defense. Already we've seen Manny Machado, Rob Pedroia, and then Pedroia with a great defensive play.
1 ball 2-strike count on Hannigan. Delivery on the way to him inside, as Adam Jones has done through most of the season, shallow in center. I asked Adam about that. He said, I spent a lot of time talking to Paul Blair, and I asked him about playing center field, and Paul was of the opinion you play in if you're good, because you can get back on balls and don't let them drop in front of you, and Adam's good.
Well, that's the key. Yeah, the key is that most outfielders can't go back like Paul Blair, who won 8 Gold Gloves, or Adam Jones. Mookie Betts, I said, you can really cover some ground, and he looked over at Adam. He goes, that's who I want to be like. You see Adam again as a role model, even if you get the different uniform on.
2-2 will be fouled off.
Yeah, there are other guys, and Chris Earl Weaver's theory was that most outfielders are more comfortable coming in than going back, and that's probably true. And the other factor, and it's an important one, is that most balls hit over your head. In fact, all balls are probably extra base hits.
Yeah.
But if you can go get them, and Adam Jones with his 4 Gold Gloves can do that, he can play anywhere he wants to.
And that takes a lot of hits away in the course of a season. Those fly balls that normally drop in end up being caught because he's so shallow. And we haven't seen him. I can think of maybe one occasion where he's been burned by playing in on a ball. If he had been back, he probably would have caught near the wall, but only one.
Well, a lot of it has to do also with the pitchers. I mean, the harder they hit the ball, we saw it in the Toronto series. They hit some balls up the gap because they were really smoked.
Yep.
I'm talking about the one here at Camden Yards. It changed for the Orioles when Frank Robinson came as a coach for Earl Weaver. He goes, Earl, too many balls you're dropping in. So what you were talking about is probably true.
On the 8th pitch of the at bat, a 1 hopper to short. Cabrera's got it, and the other. 2 down here in the 5th inning. Get in on the baseball action with Masson. You can text the word Orioles to 29292 for team alerts and chances to win exclusive prizes all season long, including meet and greets with your favorite players. Again, that's Orioles 29292 for Orioles alerts you can't miss. But Showalter, Bobby Dickerson, who arranges that infield, up having a word with him. J.J. Hardy back with the ball club. He's going to go to rehab to one of the minor league teams. One of the problems this coming week is in an unusual situation that every one of the Orioles minor league ball clubs is on the road. Nobody's at home. So they're looking to figure out where they're going to send him. That ball put in the air to center, hit deep. Jones going back. Betts got a lot of it, but not enough for him. Adam puts it away in another 1-2-3 inning. That's the 3rd clean inning out of 5 for Wei and Chen.
To snap the 5-game losing streak. Diaz doubles. Paredes doubles him in, and then the sacrifice fly by Davis, so it's 2-0. But here come the Red Sox, a walk, and then the Napoli's first home run of the year off the foul pole. And then right here, Diaz, as the Red Sox try to go ahead. Great catch and throw. Nice tag by Caleb Joseph. So those are your Geico game highlights. So take a look again before we get to that. Justin Masterson and Wei and Chen as the Masterson pitches here in the 5th. Those are your Geico game highlights. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote.
So the Orioles bat here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Masterson with his third baseman Sandoval in tight, and that's wide. Drag bunt. Masterson barehanded gets him. Throw it into the run. Good play by Napoli, who stayed focused and puts it away. Cabrera retired. And a reminder, for every Orioles walk, Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield contributes $50 supporting the March of Dimes. 50 walks so far, that's $2,500. Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield encourages each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and more active lifestyle. Like eating chili dogs with aerated cheddar on the top.
And scallions.
And scallions.
Yeah,
well noted. Here is Alejandro Diaz, leadoff batters, double scored, lined out. Back-to-back doubles starting the ball game for the Orioles in the 1st inning. Diaz up. Paredes got an RBI in his double, and then Davis brought him home with a sac fly later in the inning. 2-run homer by Napoli in the 2nd for the Red Sox. 2-2. And the pitch will be taken outside for a ball.
I'm kind of wondering if Brian Voltaggio needs a play-by-play and an analyst when he cooks.
We could do a cooking show for him. We do the play-by-play.
You could do the play-by-play.
Absolutely. And I would test all of the fine products produced. Play by Pedroia, and there are 2 down. Let's take a look at our Jeep inside the numbers this season for the Orioles.
So you can see a lot of runs at home, and then the batting average very good. And because at the end of the day, how you pitching? Pitching not where they want to be, so that's why the record not where you want it to be.
A lot of offense, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I think the big question was, well, everybody's saying, wow, you're going to miss Cruz. Well, you do miss Cruz. He's got 9 home runs.
That ball hit in the air, right field. Paredes got a lot of it at the wall, and goodbye, home run! 3 for 3 in the ball game. A double, a single, and now a go-ahead home run. And the Orioles take the lead 3-2 in the DH. Jimmy Paredes is loving this Major League Baseball.
Well, Scott Coolbaugh, the hitting instructor, the first year with the Orioles, said, you got to get ready to hit. So he's taken a fastball down the left field line. Then he took one that they pitched up and in, served it to left, and then they hang a breaking ball. And good hitters hit off the fastball. And when you hit off the fastball and you get a mistake, it's not too easy to get the bat head where you hit it to the short part of the ballpark.
Paredes has got 3 now. Wow. He is on a tear. 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, or 6 RBIs, 2 in the ball game tonight. First home run Masterson's given up this year.
Yeah, I think it's one of the big questions. And watch this, it just hangs enough, and it's almost out of the zone. But Jimmy Paredes is a big kid, and he's got tremendously long arms, great leverage. And this is a great place to hit it. And here come the sunflower seeds as he watches it sail out of here. Well, Hanley Ramirez, the helmet goes off.
Yes.
He spits sunflower seeds.
That one in the air, right center field. Betts and
over
Adam
there.
Jones is retired on the fly ball. But the Orioles get the lead as Paredes delivers his 3rd home run of the season, unloads on Masterson, and a 3-2 O's lead. report.
Yeah, they really like Tyler Wilson. He had a great spring. Velocity went up. Did the heavy ball program out of the University of Virginia. And again, we talk about if you pitch in the minor leagues, are you pitching well? Yes, you can see the numbers there, but I love the walk to strikeout ratio. Again, the records really don't mean as much because it's about run support. But when you're ERA, you're giving up 3 runs a game, but he really did make I think an indelible impression on the Orioles staff in the spring. He was that good.
Wei Chen's got the lead back, and the pitch is a strike. Pedroia, Ortiz, and Ramirez. Pedroia has grounded out twice to third base. The Orioles with a home run picked up tonight. 25 home runs. They started the day tied with Toronto and New York for the Major League home run lead. Foul back upstairs.
Yeah, pretty good swing, especially the second one. I mean, hit a rocket that Manny Machado at third base flagged down. In fact, he's had to go to his left the first time up. He had to dive to his right. And again, you talked about the numbers coming in. 15 for 29.
And Pedroia will reach. That'll go to first. Chen breaks. Davis. Good lead. And they get the out. Well, in our Major League Notebook, we're going to give you a vocabulary update. It is called Neuro Scouting. Apparently the newest thing to be used in Major League Baseball. They aren't talking much about it, but the Cubs, the Red Sox, and the Rays appear to be the teams doing it. Steven Bruno, a minor league player for the Cubs, said it's on a laptop. The producers of it took the pitchers from MLB in 2014, programmed every pitch they'd thrown. It's a series of games. It's about reaction time, recognizing pitches, laying off the curveball, and hitting the fastball. Ortiz up, will take the pitch down low for a ball. He said all those pitches that are thrown are replicas of pitches thrown in 2014. The details are being treated as a state secret by the 3 clubs believed to be using it: Cubs, Red Sox, and Rays. A couple of young men involved in inventing all of that, and I asked Dan Duquette about that before the game. He said he had heard of it, was looking at it, and Dan said his understanding was the Red Sox, when they were deciding on whether to sign Mookie Betts or not, used that system as an evaluator, not just as a teaching tool. Ortiz fouls it back. The idea, he said, is that what you see on the video game in recognizing pitches, your brain translates exactly as it does on the field when you're seeing pitches. So it's not different. And what you're trying to do is recognition. Ortiz will foul that one back. So there's another one. Keep your eye on it. Neuro scouting. There'll be more to come.
Well, if you look at the guy at the plate with 470 home runs, his neuro scouting's pretty good. He's got a pretty good idea. Again, he knows he can discern very quickly, as all the great hitters, what's a ball, what's a strike, what the movement is, can make the adjustment. There's Mookie Betts. I mean, he had a terrific spring, hit close to 400.
2-2 to him, center field. That's way back. Jones looks like he's got room, and he does, and he puts it away 400 feet away.
Now that's probably a home run at Fenway, because that's straight away, and it's about 388. Here at Camden Yards, it goes out to 410. And it almost, and I know there's maybe some weather in the area, it looked like the ball might have gotten knocked down a little bit earlier on when the ball was carrying. So big swing and good result for Wei and Chen.
Towering fly ball, and again one of those where Adam had no trouble getting back underneath it. So 2 away here in the 6th inning. Ramirez has had a night. He walked in the 2nd, scored ahead of Napoli on the homer, picked up a single in the 4th, and then got thrown out trying to score on a single by Craig, which ended up being the 3rd out of that inning. And the breaking ball, he leans out to take a look at it. He'll be outside for ball 1.
Like George Foster of the Reds when he hit 50. He used to go across the, I mean, really almost look into the other batter's box.
He'd lean on his tiptoes.
It really.
1-0 delivery, comes back with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
Well, this is a tough guy, because if you watched him hit, I mean, he hit the hanging slider off Gonzalez with abandon. I mean, he hung it and he just attacked it. And you look on deck, you got Napoli, who had a nice night. So where can you go to keep the ball in the ballpark?
That's foul back, and there goes that
you go. I mean, that's an air it out and looking fastball. I got a fastball, and weighing it can be deceptive. So you think you're on it, and it doesn't mean you're always going to quite get to it.
Great road start for Ramirez. Came in hitting .333 with 4 home runs on the road. 2-1 delivery to him. That's that inside corner strike, and that's been called all night by Will Little, the home plate umpire.
Now look where Caleb Joseph is, right to the glove.
It's probably off the strike zone by just that much, but it's been a consistent call. And the count goes to 2-2 on Hanley Ramirez. Two down. Orioles up by 1. Chen's delivery to him will be in the dirt.
What was that John Houseman ad where sometimes you have to earn it? Well, that's what pitching is. If you throw the ball around where the glove is, you've got a much better chance than what we saw some of the pitchers last night, even though they got some strikeouts, where you're missing the glove by 18 inches. Doesn't mean you won't get strikes, but not as many.
3-2. Ramirez waits on it, and he's gone. On the outside corner, and you better be careful or he's really going to be gone. You can see Little saying, turn it off.
Here comes Flaherty.
Turn it
should
off.
be Farrell because
you can't argue balls and strikes, or you'll end up grabbing the old tar pine on the corner. 1-2-3 inning again for Chen. Celebrate the birthday of the Fanatic. The Philly Fanatic, 37 years old today. First appeared in 1978 in a Philly Cubs game. They're the vital 6'6", 300 pounds, 90 inches. You talking to me eating hot dogs? Are you kidding me? His physical attributes, though, is what I love. Clumsy feet, gawking neck, and a slight case of body odor. Congratulations and happy birthday to the Philly Fanatic. Still one of my favorites. Oh, stuff on the field. Here's Davis. He'll go into that shift. Pedroia out in right field. Threw before Napoli got there. Napoli turned around and the ball was already on its way to him. So a quick out there. Davis retired. 1 down, bottom of the 6th. On Friday, the Birds begin a key 3-game weekend series with the Tampa Bay Rays here at the Yard. Sunday, May 3, the first 10,000 female fans 15 and over get the Orioles wristlet presented by PNC Bank. Good seats available. For tickets, Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. You can get an update on all the promotions, special giveaways at Orioles.com/promotions. Snyder's grounded out and struck out. Masterson's delivery to him is there. Yet another close ball game between these two ball clubs who have started this season. This is game 6. Playing all of them close. That one is going to miss down low for ball.
Yeah, Masterson, and I was talking to Juan Nieves, the pitching coach, and he has the ability, if you can see right there, about 60-40, but some of his two-seamers almost act like changeup. That's the addition and subtraction.
Pedroia ranging, actually got in front of that, squared up, makes the play. And there are 2 down. Let's take a look at the O's upcoming schedule, brought to you by Mile One Automotive, offering you 20 convenient locations throughout the Baltimore area. Visit us in store or online at mile1.com. Finish up with the Red Sox tomorrow, and then the first game out of the division. And the White Sox coming in for 3, and then right back into the division with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, you're going to see some pretty good pitching from the White Sox. You got their 3 best pitchers.
Maybe.
Well,
pitch is taken inside for a ball. The question is whether they'll be able to pitch. We'll show you the numbers here in a minute.
Oh, you mean, yeah.
Suspensions issued today because of the White Sox Kansas City brouhaha. 1-0 count, and Manny will take it for a strike. So the suspensions today, you see 7 games for Ventura, KC, Edison Volquez, Jeff Samaja, Chris Sale, both scheduled to pitch against the Orioles. 5-game suspensions. And they have not decided whether to appeal, or at least haven't announced it yet. So whether Samaja and Sale will actually pitch for the White Sox against the Orioles will depend on whether they appeal those suspensions.
Now, do they have to take those penalties at the same time? You would think that would be the way it should be doled out, in the sense, because otherwise you get to work the system. I mean, if you do what they did,
yeah,
and sends a bad message, so why wouldn't you send both? Why wouldn't you hurt your club at the same time? It just seems a sensible thing if you really want to penalize players for doing what happened in that fight.
I agree.
Otherwise, you can pick your time, and yeah, you can pick your time, and
yeah,
it's not as meaningful.
But the thing you do, yeah, and it may be made less meaningful if you appeal, because then the appeals won't be heard at the same time in all likelihood. So one of the pitchers would have his appeal heard. If it was upheld, he would start serving. The next pitcher would have his appeal, but it would start at a different time.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't seem fair.
Yep. But I think that's doable. We'll see. They haven't announced it. There was only one appeal that had been announced at game time, at least today. And that was by one of the Kansas City players. Runner on at first base. First walk by Masterson. Manny Machado on. Navarro has struck out and popped out. Even with 2 down, 3rd in. Sandoval continues to take away that bunt, as he has in all 6 games these teams have played. Anybody you might bunt, regardless of the out situation, he moves in on.
Yeah, and if that's one of your strengths, it makes you swing the bat. And I mean, you still want to do it because you bring the third baseman in, but you don't even have to bunt a lot for Sandoval to play shallow.
That is fouled off.
Yeah, that's a pretty hittable pitch, but again, because of the sinking action, hard to center.
Navarro 1 for 3 in the ball game. Major League first appearance last night, and has taken an 0 for 2 in this one. 3 runs, 6 hits for the Orioles. They've left 3. Red Sox 2 runs, 4 hits. They have left 2. No errors so far in the ball game. 1 ball, 1 strike count will wait. Manny Machado back.
Yeah, when I played for Santurce and Ray Navarro comes out of Caguas, I remember going over there to play. Played in Mayaguez, played in Ponce. Caguas had a heck of a team. Felix Millan, one of the great second basemen, perennial all-star. Willie Nunez. He played for Caguas. Wanted to miss that trip. Didn't want to pitch against those guys.
In the air to left field. Ramirez back and lines it up, puts it away. No runs, no hits, no errors. 1 left on base. Another tight ball game as Chen and Masterson go at it. by Miller Lite.
No, this is Wayne Kirby time, the outfield coach, first base coach for the Orioles. Because Diaz does it perfect. I mean, look at it, no hesitation whatsoever. Strong throw. Caleb Joseph gets it in plenty of time, gets to block the plate. Hanley Ramirez is a big dude, 240 pounds, and he doesn't even get to home plate because of the quickness and the accuracy of the throw by Alejandro Diaz.
As a fine left field play and a key one. That ended that 4th inning. 3-2 as we go to the 7th. The Orioles on top, trying to end their 5-game losing streak, even up the season series against Boston, set up a rubber match for tomorrow. Pitch will be taken for a ball as the Red Sox retired in order in the last inning and in the 5th inning. 1-0 delivery on the way, and that's going to miss inside. Napoli with a home run in the 2nd inning, good for 2 RBIs. Napoli's first home run of the season.
And then he pulled a single into left.
That one
trying to tie it up.
That's why he's in there. He's had the good numbers against left-handers, and while he's had 5 hits now in 20 at bats against Chen, including 3 home runs.
Yeah, well, that's the number that you look at. Because Mike Napoli's never had a problem hitting home runs.
2-1 delivery on the way, and that'll be fouled up.
And the other thing is that, yeah, he strikes out a lot, but he also, you kind of touched on it, he's up there, if not leading the league in pitches, seems. So again, a guy that has a pretty good idea of what he wants to hit till he gets to 2 strikes.
Napoli on the road came in 3 for 31, second lowest batting average on the road in the American League. And here he's picked up a home run and a single.
Yeah, so breaking ball, fastball to get back in the count. Then another little change up to try to get him to chase, and he didn't.
3 ball, 2 strike count. Sandoval and Craig due up against Chen. 90 pitches thrown now. Ground ball, Machado in front with time, gets the out.
Yeah, nice 3-2 pitch. Where do you want to go? High ball hitter, try to get down in the zone somewhere, and he's able to do it.
That'll bring up Sandoval. He's had the 0 for 2 and a couple of fly balls tonight. Now 0 for 15 against left-handed pitchers. 1 down. Infield will back up. Sandoval slow a foot, so the infield can give themselves a couple of steps back as they've got more time to get to a ground ball and make the play. And there's one to short, and being back helps. Cabrera lost his balance and still gets the out.
It really does a nice job, Gary, of circling the ball, so even when he does stumble a little bit, because his momentum is around the ball, because he's so quick, he gets to it. Now watch him circle right there, trying to get it out, can't get it out, but this kid's got an arm. And if you don't have the arm strength and you can't get it out of your glove, he's not going to be able to make that play, even though Sandoval doesn't run that well.
Good play.
Yeah.
Great arm. You're right.
He said the one thing he wants to do before his career is over is pitch. He said, "It's in spring training."
No, he's hoping for a really bad game.
Well, that's what he is. Yeah, he said just.
Alan Craig.
And I'm not sure if coming over from San Diego is one of the. It's like a national park. It's so big. Maybe that's what he meant. I want to pitch it.
Yeah.
Not only do I want to pitch, I want to do it in San Diego, with the marine layer coming in.
Probably better there.
With a lot
than
of
here.
room.
Yeah. Craig 1-0 delivery with 2 down, and that is in there for a strike. 8 in a row have been retired by Wei and Chen.
They had Gonzalez pitch 6 innings last night, 8 hits, 4 runs. And then now you got Wei and Chen 1 out from getting you 21 outs. So you're getting kind of back where you want to be. And then only, at least to this point, 2 runs.
That'll miss inside on him. He's trying for his 5th 1-2-3 inning. That's a major mark for any starter in this day and age, to have clean innings where you get the 1-2-3. It just doesn't happen very often anymore. 2 ball, 1 strike count. Chen's pitch, and that'll be in the air to right field. It'll send Snyder back. Warning track wall, and he's got it. Good play. And it is a 1-2-3 inning. So Chen has gone 7. The O's are 20-3 when he goes at least 7 in a ball game. Orioles. Play daily fantasy baseball for free on DraftKings.com and a promo code TRIPLEPLAY for free entry. And by Ocean City, Maryland. Put your vacation days to good use in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at OCOcean.com. Gary Thorne and Jim Palmer, great to have you with us Saturday night. A little discussion here. Dave Wallace, pitching coach. Wei-Yin Chen. He's pitched just a tremendous 7 innings with 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, allowing the runs in the 2nd inning, and has given up only 4 hits.
Yeah, even Justin Masterson, after the 1st inning, when the Orioles got 2 doubles and ended up getting 2 runs, he has settled down, and other than the hanging breaking ball to Jimmy Paredes, has kept his team in the game till the 7th inning.
Here's Caleb Joseph, swing and a miss on the breaking ball. May have caught on the backswing Hannigan there.
Yeah, that was one of those breaking balls. Instead of starting in the middle of the plate and swerving away down and in, that's kind of the home run one if you get on it. And Caleb had a pretty good swing.
0-1 count. Joseph in the ball game, 0 for 2, a strikeout, ground out. Cabrera will follow it up, and then Diaz up. The Orioles 3-6-0, 2-4-0 for the Red Sox. Good performances tonight by both of these starters. 1-1 delivery on the way, and Masterson will miss outside with it. 2-ball, 1 strike count. First bullpen action we've seen, Robbie Ross Jr. Masterson a walk and 4 strikeouts, approaching the 80 pitch mark. Joseph will ground it down to 3rd. Panda Bears got it, and there's one away here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. This past February, the Orioles served as the mission engagement chair of the American Heart Association for the Baltimore Heart Ball, and together the Orioles and the event chair Sun Trust helped raise more than $679,000 for cardiovascular disease research, education programs, and advocacy efforts. The Orioles thank Johns Hopkins Medicine, Sinai Hospital at Lifebridge Health Center, and SC&H Group. Please visit Orioles.com. See how you can help too. There's Cabrera, and the pop-up will go to center. Coming in to get it is Betts. Cabrera is retired, and a couple of quick outs here in the 7th inning.
Yeah, just got in on his 5th, so very efficient 7th inning. Only 81 pitches for Justin Masterson. That's what the sinker will do, even though he's been in and out of trouble. Been very good in the clutch tonight. You know, leadoff double in the 2nd, able to get the next 3 hitters out. Again, got a little bit of a jam with a couple of singles, will run out in the 3rd, able to get out of that inning. And again, only the hanging breaking ball to Paredes. So that's the difference in this game.
Alejandro Diaz, the double, scored in the 1st inning. Leadoff batter for the Orioles. Did it hit him? They're looking to 3rd to see. Yes, it did, and he's limping. Home plate umpire had no angle to see that, so Dana DeMuth made the call down at 3rd as Masterson hits him.
You know, here's the breaking ball. I think it might have got his bell. Oh, yeah, at the inside of the left leg. Kind of an interesting night for Alejandro. He came in, 3 for his last 26. Smokes a double, makes a fabulous play. Great throw to cut off the 3rd run. This would be a tie game otherwise. Maybe even more, because if he's safe at home plate, the inning continues. A lot of things going on.
So Masterson hits him, puts a runner on at first base with 2 down, and Paredes up, and he may think about going over there despite being hit by that pitch.
Well, you better make it, because we saw him get thrown out up in Toronto with down 4-2 with Chris Davis, and of course he was on 2nd. But right now you don't want to take the bat out of Jimmy Paredes' hand, I wouldn't imagine.
He's got a shot at the cycle if he can get a triple, and he could. That pitch again is going to be taken inside. Here's the drive of the game, brought to you by Lexus of Towson.
Yeah, and there's the hanging breaking ball, and this is the difference in the game to this point. He just takes a high breaking ball after getting hits on a double and a single on fastballs.
Lexus of Towson, the area's #1 Lexus dealer, 5 years running. See why at LexusofTowson.com.
Please don't get picked off.
And Paredes with a pretty good edge over there, and Masterson seeing that. Base stealers are 2 out of 3 against Masterson on the season. Hannigan's thrown out 3 of 9. That is a good lead that Paredes has gotten. And that ball up the middle off the back of the mound, diving, stopped, not going to get an out on that one. will hold the runner. Bogarts made the stop, but ball came out of the glove and did not have a chance to get Diaz at second base.
Well, it's a nice little 4-for-4 evening. And the other good news about this is get Adam Jones to the plate. A nice play by Bogarts, thinking of maybe getting a force. And then he will toss it, and it'll get by Pedroia, and Masterson will pounce on it.
So the Orioles get a shot at it here with 2 down for Adam Jones. 4-hit ball game. There you see Matt Barnes, who was added to the roster today. When they put Victorino on the DL with a hamstring problem, they waited till almost game time to make the announcement because Matt Barnes had to get here from Pawtucket, where he started his day. So here is Jones, a base hit, 1 for 3 in the ball game, and the Orioles would love to add something on right here. Pitch is taken outside for a ball. A big at bat for Adam. He's had a lot of big at bats on the season for the Orioles. Both Diaz, Paredes will be off and running on contact here. And the outfield deep, swung a bit around towards right field.
Yeah, that's where they play him. Adam hit one right to Betts in right center.
Jones on a swing and a miss on that slider away. Orioles 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight.
And Adam Jones will take a little time. Well, he's done a nice job of being just a touch more disciplined this year here in the month of April.
Just enough to get that many more pitches he wants to hit. 1-1 delivery by Masterson. Adam came in leading the American League in average, tied for 4th in home runs, tied for 3rd in RBIs. His home average at .520, the best against the lefties. He's got the best average, 6.67. Not a lot of at bats, of course, there. 2nd in on base percentage, 3rd in slugging. 2-1. Masterson's pitch. Jones will reach and foul it back. Angry at himself. That's a pitch he wanted to stay away from.
Well, that too, but what I liked about it, after you waved at the first one, he made a nice adjustment. So we've seen him time and time again, and when he's hitting his best, he'll use the whole field. And that's a ball he could hit hard into right field only because of his approach. Now everything changes here. I mean, you got to cover in and out and up and down, soft, hard, and that's why it is so difficult to hit with 2 strikes.
Diaz off second, Paredes off first. And just keeps the at-bat alive, reaching for it.
And that's all right, because that was a pitcher's pitch. And what did you do? You kept your at-bat alive by fouling it off. We've talked all year long about how many foul balls the Orioles pitchers get with the batters against them. And a lot of time it's just doing that, flick it foul.
Adam's been an outstanding hitter with 2 strikes on him. He's gone 2 for 4 when there are 2 outs and runners in scoring position, which is the situation here. 2-2 delivery on the way. Runner goes, and the ball is going to be popped up shallow right center. Craig over, and the right fielder will make the catch. We've completed 7th. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. 2 are left on. The Orioles lead it by 1.
Again, Chen really made some nice pitches tonight. You can see Ortiz goes down right there, up out of the zone on Betts. Good high fastball hitter. There's a nice slider to Bogaerts. So again, pitching into the 8th inning for the first time this year, and he has done it very, very successfully.
Great line.
Yeah, it really is. And the only walk, and Napoli skied one right down the right field line off the foul pole, and those are the only runs he get given up tonight.
Kevin Gausman in the bullpen for the Orioles. So Chen, after walking 5 and 4 1/3 in his last outing against Boston, has walked only 1 going into the 8th inning of this one. It's a 1-run ball game. Xander Bogaerts, he has popped out, struck out, then Hannigan, and the top of the order Betts here in the 8th inning. Fouled away. Chen is the first Orioles starter this year to make it into the 8th inning. Boy, is that a help, regardless of what goes on from now on for the bullpen. 29-year-old getting it done with 97 pitches so far. 1-1 delivery on the way to short. Jammed him, Cabrera.
Yeah, really good one-strike pitch. And this has been a night of wherever Caleb Joseph goes, with few exception, he's been able to hit the glove. So Caleb moves down and in. Bogaerts a high ball hitter. 12 home runs. In fact, had the second most extra base hits for the Red Sox last year. And again, they just made the perfect pitch to get the ground ball out.
10 in a row have been retired by Wei-Yin Chen. The last Red Sox base runner was Craig, who delivered that single in the 4th inning, only to have Ramirez thrown out trying to score on it to end the inning. Pitch is there for a strike. Hannigan has flied out and grounded out here in the 8th inning.
Well, he's moved the ball around. I mean, Pedroia had a couple of good at bats the last time. He got ahead of him, low and away. So again, there's the glove. When he missed off the plate. That's what you want to do. Hasn't very few balls to this point, when he's missed, have ended up in the middle of the plate.
Efficiency at 100. 1-1 delivery on the way, and that'll be fouled off into the seats. 36,757. Another real good crowd. 36,757 on hand, over 37,300 last night, and a big crowd due tomorrow for the day game at 1:30 on the air for the ball game, and O's Extra at 1 o'clock. 1 ball, 2 strike count. And it will be taken inside just a bit.
Yeah, we've seen probably the best velocity, command in the game that he's needed. Last year, 4th best run support in the American League. See right
As
here,
a 2-2, Joseph coming up.
Yeah, where do you want to go? Hannigan doesn't hit a lot of home runs. He has one, and that was off Kevin Gausman. That was a split changeup that in that Friday night game. That there's Gausman on the far side, and then Darren O'Day. But Hannigan's only home run came off Kevin Gausman.
Very rarely do Oriole catchers go to the mound unless it's a real need situation. Buck Showalter hates that. Ball put up in the air to right center field. That's going to be handled. Snyder's there to get it. That's 12 in a row. Retired by Chen, 2 down. Follow the Orioles all season with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment, any moment. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replays, radio broadcast, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat on your smartphone or tablet. During the Red Sox series in Boston, we mentioned a player named Mitch Harris, who was pitching in the minors out of the Naval Academy. He'd served the full time required coming out of the academy, did not ask for an exemption from service to play baseball. He's made it to the majors, made his major league debut tonight in Milwaukee. Mitch Harris. He has worked an inning, a hit, a walk, a couple of walks, and a strikeout. He came on for Adam Wainwright, who had to leave the ball game with a foot injury, possibly an Achilles heel problem. And so Mitch Harris came on. He's still in the game. Harris is the first Naval Academy graduate to pitch in the majors since 1921. And congratulations to Mitch Harris, 27 years old. 1-1 delivery on the way, and down the first, nubbed foul. It's just great. There it is. There's Mitch. We had talked about him. at the during the Red Sox series with his work in the minors, and now 66 career appearances in the minors. Now he's in the majors.
That used to be a yearly event when I first started with the Orioles. Go down and play an exhibition game against the Naval Academy. Get to see the campus, play down there.
Mets and Yankees used to go up, play
West Point.
Yeah. Foul back. 1 ball, 2 strike count on Betts. Betts an 0 for 3 in the ball game after having a 2 for 3 in the game last night and reaching 4 times in that game. He is now 1 for 9 lifetime off Wei-Yin Chen. 1-2 delivered to Betts in the air, not deep. Center. Jones coming, second baseman out, and Navarro will haul it in. 13 in a row retired by Wei-Yin Chen, and it's a 3-2 Orioles lead. Finally in the series finale that could be a rubber match. Our coverage on Masson begins at 1 with those extra presented by Southwest, followed by game coverage at 1:30 at Masson and WJZ. All the access you need right here on Masson.
Justin Masterson, there's what he did. I mean, tonight probably 4 breaking balls, exactly what you talked about. Gary pitched very well. They gave up 2 early runs, the hanging breaking ball for a home run by Jimmy Paredes. And again, if you could do this against a pretty good hitting team like the Orioles, and your Jiffy Lube pitching change, it's time for a little relief for your car too. Visit Jiffy Lube for regular oil changes and help prevent damage and wear to your engine. Jiffy Lube, drive in today as Matt Barnes will come on. Pitched in 5 games last year for the Red Sox, former #1 draft choice out of the University of Connecticut.
Barnes just getting here today from Pawtucket. John Farrell said before the game this was his day to start, so he said he's available for long or short action here as he hasn't worked in 4, and so here he is joining the Red Sox with Victorino going on the DL, and the first pitch is a base hit into center field. Chris Davis gets his first hit of the ball game here in the bottom of the 8th. He's 1 for 3.
Yeah, got a sacrifice fly back in the first, so part of the offense tonight. Had some pretty good at bats. Also hit a rocket that Napoli knocked down. Well, there's your 2-seam fastball. Where does Chris like it? Out over the plate. He gets it there, and then that's how you beat the shift up the middle, because they're stacked on the right side of the infield.
Orioles now out hitting Boston 8-4 in the ball game. Travis Snyder has an 0 for 3. Infield will try and get a double play ground ball here, and the pitch will be taken away. So Masterson out, the 2 starters, the pitchers of record. Looked like Wei-Yin Chen has done as well, as manager came over to see him. Light rain beginning to fall, expected to move in here tonight for some overnight showers. 1-0 count.
Does it get any warmer tomorrow?
Well, it's got to be. It'll be daytime, right? Well, I guess not necessarily.
That's why I rely on you so much. You
do.
You always.
You got to have that Mr. Obvious stuff. You know what I mean? You can't do that. You can't do anything.
It'll be warmer because it'll be a day.
Buck always talks about that. You know. Let me be Mr. Obvious.
Well,
Our pitchers need to go deeper into games.
Well, the Mike Bordick. When the pitcher goes 5, he goes, well, that's better than 3.
And little butcher boy swing right there.
So Bordick, we were getting on him. No kidding.
No kidding.
I told him, I said, you know what? Thank God you were one of the better fielding shorts I've ever seen, because as a pitcher, your standards are really low. And he just,
as they should be. When you're
most people do, he just laughed at me.
Just trying to make you famous. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Runner on at first base, nobody out. Snyder in a check swing. They check at third, no.
Yeah, well, see, 95 and a nice overhand curveball. Usually the pitch at this level, unless you're out of the pen, you'd like to have especially as a starter, a third pitch. But he's got a good arm. I mean, if he's drafted in the first round, 19th overall, you know that he's got pretty good arm speed. 8-9 with 103 strikeouts. There's the curveball.
That's the hole. No. Cut off center ball 1. Relay Pedroia in the air. Not in time. Fielder's choice for the out on Davis at second. So 1 down now with a runner on at first base. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Orioles may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. David Lowe will run at first for Snyder. 1-run ball game, and the Orioles get a chance here after getting the leadoff man on. Now there's 1 down. Try and add to that 3-2 score. Bottom of the 8th. Manny Machado coming up. Manny a double. He has singled, drawn a walk since. Matt Barnes, the 24-year-old, will make a throw over. I was asking today, I wondered whether or not anybody had gone to Major League Baseball regarding the scoring on the error charge to Manny last night. Not that it was necessarily wrong. Tough play. Could have gone either way. And I didn't realize now that clubs don't do that anymore. It's the agents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I didn't know that till today. And the clubs really don't want anything to do with it, because someone's going to be mad at you if you're the ball club and you go to Major League Baseball to contest a scoring error, because are you for the pitcher, are you for the hitter? Somebody gets hurt if you change the rule. Pitcher's ERA goes up if it was an error and the runs are unearned.
Chris Tillman, perfect example. The ball that Devin Travis hit that went off the glove of, barely hit Snyder's, which Travis Snyder's glove. So that was 3 RBIs.
Now the agents do it, and it's official. Major League Baseball allows the agents to call it. The agent for that player and argue the point.
Right. Well, a lot of, it used to be you couldn't do that, but it used to be that you used to have those performance clauses, which most I don't think is allowed anymore. Unless it's because 3 earned runs is 3 runs. That's a lot to do with an earned run average over the course of a season. But they changed that call. I actually thought the way Manny played it last night, he played a ball that he could have taken a drop step on. He played it into a base hit. He never touched it. It wasn't routine the way he played it, because he came in, he was playing deep. I'm not sure the scorekeeper kept that in mind.
1 ball, 1 strike count on him. Ground ball towards the middle. That's going to be a base hit. Lowe will make the turn. He's going to go to third. There'll be no throw. It'll come into second. And the Orioles cover the corners here in the 8th with 1 down.
Well, that's what David Lowe brings to the table, defensively or as a pinch runner. The ability to take the extra base. Not station to station. Play in front of him. And he can get down there very, very quickly. And with 1 out, that's a beauty. You'd love to add another run here. You're going right to Pedroia, Ortiz, Ramirez, and then right behind him, Napoli in the 9th inning with a 1-run lead. You'd like to have a little more of a cushion if possible.
So Ray Navarro's got an opportunity to pick up his first Major League RBI. Manny Machado now's got 3 multi-hit games over the last 4 played, so his bat's come alive. Machado now 2 for 3 and a walk in this one. He's at first. So Barnes will work to Navarro. 0 for 3 in the game. Sandoval in at third. Navarro swings and will foul it back. Big opportunity for the veteran minor league player. The rain coming down here in the 8th. Machado, pretty good lead over there at first. Pitch on the way. It's a squeeze, and it was a suicide, and it will fall foul. He was coming all the way low from third base.
Yeah, that is the suicide, and of course able to get the bat on it. Great sacrifice last night, also from the left side of the plate. But right here, I mean, again, the high fastball, and this time couldn't quite get on top of it. You could see him actually drop the barrel of the bat. You'd like to keep that a little bit higher. But the good news, at least for the Orioles, it wasn't in play.
How's that for some confidence in a hitter in his second major league game? In his ability to bunt, obviously that has come along with him. 0-2 count now. One down. Navarro waiting on it, and a swing and a miss.
Yeah, nice overhand curveball. Matt Barnes. 81, mid-90s with a fastball. Real good hook. And the bottom drops out. Very Chris Tillman-like.
So the Orioles 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And now it will go to Caleb Joseph to try and get somebody in here. Joseph is 0 for 3, a strikeout, couple of ground ball outs. Barnes trying to get through the inning. A Davis leadoff single started it. Had a base hit by Manny Machado.
Yeah, you would think that maybe somewhere along the line that Caleb Joseph has seen Matt Barnes. Last year Caleb in the big leagues, the year before both of them in Double-A, so might have seen him when he was with Portland.
And the pitch to him will be taken for a strike.
That's a big league hook right there. For most guys, it's tough to throw over because it breaks so big, but an awfully good one.
Oh, 1 count. Off first and third, the runners. Manny a delayed steal. They're not going to throw, so he'll pick up a stolen base. Orioles trying everything to get that run in from third. Suicide squeeze, then a delayed steal, trying to get a rundown going even with 2 down. Now 2 in scoring positions over Joseph. Base hit here. It's a couple of runs. 1-1. Set up outside. Pitches right there. A heater at 94.
So you got one with a little extra life, and then you got the other one just dive bombing.
These two teams playing some really exciting baseball games to open up the season. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Runners at second and third. Barnes delivery. Joseph way outside. 2-2.
One of those where you want to get it to the corner if you're Matt Barnes, and you just immediately go left and out of your hand. It's almost like it's a meaningless pitch. Doesn't mean that you still come back with probably the hook here, but
doesn't want to go any deep here if he can get Caleb. Again, down and away. 2-2 pitch. Foul back. Count will hold.
There's a nice adjustment. I think the one thing that we've seen from Caleb Joseph after you spend most of your first year, you hit home runs at 5 games, you struggled down the stretch. He really worked hard on shortening his swing with Scott Kuhlbach, new hitting instructor. He said, I don't know if I'm going to hit 300 all year long, but I just feel a little bit more confident. And part of that, That's part of being successful at this level. You think you can put a good swing on some pitches.
2-2 delivery on the way, and that's going to be outside again. That's where Hannigan had set up, trying to get Joseph to bite on it.
Yeah, I mean, that
3-2.
It looks good if you're a Red Sox fan or maybe from the bench, but this ball is well outside and 96.
So it'll be pitch number 7 on this at bat.
You know, and you have an open base, Gary, because of the. So you have to make your pitch if you're Matt Barnes. That's why it could be a curveball.
Joseph goes down to third. Sandoval, not an easy play, and the tiptoe on the bag by Napoli to record the out. So no runs on a couple of hits, no errors. 2 are left in scoring position. The Orioles need 3 outs to put a W up on the board. They're waiting here to see whether or not his foot really was on the bag. Buck Showalter holding play while his video replay official takes a look at it. Joseph pointed down, thinking no, he didn't have it. First base umpire, you see, looking in. Toby Bassner, and go ahead, no challenge. We go to the 9th inning. Chen could get a win and perhaps a save for Zach Britton. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by PNC, for the achiever in you. Gary Thorne and Jim Palmer, Saturday night at the ballpark, and a good one. The Orioles looking for 3 more outs.
Yeah, look at Wei and Chen. A lot of fastballs tonight. It took him probably 3-4 innings to establish his other pitches. And again, 1 walk, the home run by Napoli, and that's pretty much the damage. He's been outstanding. Zach Britton, you can see a lot of fastballs, occasional breaking ball. They have put 14 balls in play, 12 on the ground, 2 in the air. 4 for 4 in the save opportunities, and right into the heart of their lineup.
Pitch on the way will be taken outside for a ball. Dustin Pedroia, 7 for 11 off Britton. A .636 batting average by Pedroia against the Oriole closer. Britton has picked up a save on the season against Boston. Pitch will be taken away for a ball, and the count goes to 2-0. Piazza moves to right field from left, and Lowe came on as a pinch runner. Will stay on in left field.
So the toughest of all saves, the 1-run save. 37 of them last year, 18 of them 1-run variety for Zach Britton.
2-0 delivery on the way, and a strike on the outside corner. Pedroia taking all the way, and the count goes to 2-1.
The idea that Dustin Pedroia hits lefty pretty well. What was he coming in? 15 for 29 off of Chen, 7 for 11 off of Britton.
And there's Wei and Chen waiting to see if he'll be the winning pitcher. Here's the 2-1 delivery on the way. Chen, by the way, tied his career high going 8 innings. Has never had the complete game at the major league level. Had done it a couple of times before. Raining harder, but you can bet you're going to play on here in the top of the 9th inning. 3 ball, 1 strike count on Pedroia. Then Ortiz and Ramirez are due up. Britton's delivery over the top, and he walked in the last thing he wanted to do.
Yep. Well, he probably doesn't know the exact numbers. Last pitched on Wednesday night. 1 inning, gave up a hit. Orioles lost that game. So the Red Sox get what they want. They get the potential winning run at the plate, and at least go ahead, right?
He too with big numbers against Britton. 5 for 12, a home run.
Yeah, you got to remember, and certainly not to take anything away from Pedroia or Ortiz, they're fabulous players. Britton used to be a starter too, and he did have some big inning ball games when he first started pitching against both the Yankees and the Red Sox. So maybe the numbers a little bit askew.
Shift is on against Ortiz. 0 for 3, 2 fly balls and a strikeout in the ball game tonight.
Yeah, just missed a home run his last time up, deep center field.
Looking for the ground ball, which Britton gets so many of. And that one way inside. Little chin music for Ortiz. Joseph will go out now. That's out of the strike zone by a lot.
Well, you try to. I mean, this is why it's so hard to relieve. I don't care if you're an accomplished closer, and that's what Zach was able to do last year, 37 out of 41. But it's not like you can call timeout and say I need a couple of more warm-ups. That's just not the way it works. And obviously struggling with his control.
Zach is 4 for 4 save opportunities this season. Ortiz with a 1-0 count. Pedroia short lead at first. Ortiz will take it. Comes right back with a strike on that one.
Ortiz much better hitter lifetime. We talked about 285 lifetime batting average. Against lefties it was 266, but 107 home runs, and then almost 300 with 363 against the right-handers.
Here's the 1-1 delivery by Britton, fouled off.
Yeah, chased the ball. He doesn't do that very often.
Hit his leg, foot, somewhere down there on that one, and the count goes to 1-2 on Ortiz.
Well, Zach Britton's strength is sinking fastball, movement, good velocity. I think David thinks this is going to be a strike. It's way inside, and he hits it right off his back foot, or back leg.
Zach's last save came against Boston. Game at Fenway. 1 ball, 2 strike count. 1-run game. Orioles up 3-2. Breaking ball, challenge. Nope, didn't go.
Yeah, all he had to do was throw it for a strike. I mean, that was a really good breaking ball. I mean, you got to be very careful of hanging it, and he didn't. Well, take a look. I mean, this is, you could see very much kind of like the swing they got tossed out in and argued.
2-2. Pedroia not going anywhere at first, and he just got it, or did he?
No,
that's a strikeout. Yeah. He's out of there. So Britton gets him with the breaking ball. 1 down.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a slider that backed up or just a good sinker. Yeah, I just think it's almost a straight down ball. Nice block. Because Caleb, I think he thinks it's going to be, and he doesn't even touch it. Hits his shin guard. This ball sinks so much and then goes right by him. Orioles very, very lucky that it did not go to the backstop.
There's a save for the shin guard right there. 1 down. Pedroia still at first. Infield will square up now against Ramirez. Ramirez has walked and scored. Picked up a single. Big defensive play. Thrown out at the plate in the 4th inning. Tried to score on a Craig single, and that was the final out of the 4th inning. 1 down. Pedroia back to the bag. Pedroia has been going back to the bag on virtually every pitch Britton has thrown, just to ensure that he does not even come close to getting picked off over there.
Yeah, he may have one of those. You get a big lead and you actually maybe lean back towards first. Years past, I mean, he can steal bases. I don't imagine with Ramirez up at the plate he's going to take a chance of getting thrown out.
Hanley Ramirez has not faced Zach Britton before, and the pitch to him, it's going to be down low for a ball.
Well, he's a high ball hitter. We've seen him already tonight stay inside the ball. I saw him last night hit a hanging breaking ball, and he just jumped on it for the 6th home run.
Zach Britton trying to get the save for Wei-Yin Chen. Chen trying to get his first win of the year against the loss. 1-0 delivery on the way, and there's that big home run cut he loves to take. 1-1.
And 96 with great sink, and he swings right over it. That would be described as well-intentioned swing. It's too good a location, too good a movement. And the good thing about Zach Britton, the ground balls, last year, this year, 2 in the air. If you get the ground ball, you might get yourself a double play.
Britton with a 1-1. Ramirez waiting on it. Will chop it foul. So gets ahead on the count here. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Chen 2 runs, 4 hits over 8 innings. A walk and 5 strikeouts for Wei-Yin Chen. Masterson 3 runs, 7 hits over 7. 2 outstanding starters. The Orioles starters in this 5-game losing streak had gone 0 for 4 with an ERA of almost 10 during those 5 games. So Chen has come on to end that run, and now Britton trying to wrap it up. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Napoli waiting to hit next. 1-2 delivery. That's towards the middle. Backhanded Navarro. Flips. They can't play it. He did not have the angle. Tried to get the force out at second base. Pedroia hustling down. Got there about the same time the ball did, and it went wide.
Yeah, hit very sharply, and he's playing up the middle, but watch him start sliding. And you see right there, can't quite get turned around. His momentum has taken him to center field. So trying to get the handle, trying to get the toss. You can see Cabrera just kind of lingering in the neighborhood, trying to just get a force play.
So now it gets real interesting. Yeah. That's a single for Ramirez, so he's got a 2 for 3 ball game. And now here is Napoli, who had the home run in the second inning, accounting for their runs. Only 2 chances tonight for Boston, 1 for 2, and it's raining harder here in the top of the 9th inning. 2 on and 1 out. So Britton got the ground ball, but couldn't do anything with it. That one will slip way up in the air. Joseph goes up to get it. Oh, it's a tough finish. Tough anyway. But the weather now contributing to the problems for Zach Britton.
Well, you're trying to keep the ball dry. You're trying to keep your hand dry. And again, feel and touch pretty much how you pitch.
0 for 6 off Britton for Napoli. 2 for 3 in the ball game tonight. Chopper back to the mound. It goes off his glove. There's no play anywhere. How about this inning? Ball's not even out of the infield, and the Red Sox have loaded him up with 1 out.
Yeah, one of those. It's probably a double play ball if you don't touch it. And the minute you touch it, and it's not an easy play because, again, you're coming down the mound. It's a high chopper. And sometimes you just have to kind of hope that if you don't catch it, you have to somehow gauge that the ball's not hit that hard. You kind of know where your infielders are, but as it turns out, it just loads them up.
A walk and 2 infield singles. Bases loaded, 1 away. Sandoval 0 for 3. Facing Britton for the first time. And he will take the pitch on the inside corner. Sandoval is still looking for his first hit against a left-hander. He is 0 for 16 on the year against lefties. 1 grand slam in his career. Red Sox trying to mount a big comeback here in the 9th inning. Here's the 0-1 delivery on the way. Sandoval's chopper will be fouled. Boston will take 1 here if they can get it to tie the game up. They'd love more.
Yeah, and the Orioles are looking at 1 ground ball at one of their infielders. I mean, at him. I don't mean to the side because we've seen the results of those. It is not an easy inning to pitch or to play defense in because of the rain.
Davis is playing in on the grass at first base in front of the runner. 0-2 delivery on the way. Sandoval will take it outside. So Davis, the only infielder who's at first who would come home if there's a ground ball to get the force out at the plate. Brad Brock in the bullpen for the Orioles. The rest of the infield, of course, at double play depth. 1-2. Britton to Sandoval. Ground ball to third base. Force one. Manny Machado. Oh, it gets away. A run will score. Hanley Ramirez doesn't realize what happened, and halfway down to third thought the game was over. It isn't. Manny Machado, a chance for a double play, and he throws it wild to first base, and this ball game is tied up at 3-3 in the ninth inning.
A pretty routine if you can get the field. You catch, and then he just doesn't make a good throw. It bounces, it's off line, and you can see right now Sandoval, he's going to just keep going. So now you decide who you want to pitch to.
So the run scores, and there's that walk again. A lead-off walk. Pedroia got it, and Pedroia crosses. They get Ramirez on the force out at third base.
He did everything right. Easily, you got kind of, you know who's running. You got plenty of time. I mean, he does the crow hop. It doesn't look like his foot slips, but usually one of the more accurate arms. Chris Davis trying to catch it. Ball bounces too far out in front. He was trying to stay on the bag and also catch it.
Another error. Manny Machado on the throw, and a big one. So the game's tied at 3-3, and the inning isn't over. Fourth error charged to Machado this year. Craig will foul it off down the line. The Red Sox, who had not scored since the second inning and had not had a base runner since the fourth, started this inning out with the walk after Chen had retired 13 in a row in the middle part of the ball game. And now Farrell's team has tied it up and now looking for the lead here in the top of the ninth inning, and Chen is non-decision. Pitch on the way. First blown save by Zach Britton this year. 0-2 count on Craig with 2 down.
And that doesn't happen often. At least it didn't last year. Only 4 the entire year.
Craig with the 0-2 count. Napoli, Sandoval, the base runners, third and second. And it will miss outside. Joseph out to get it. May have gotten crossed up there. He'll head out.
I think it's kind of a conversation, Gary, where he's thinking, okay, hadn't thrown many breaking balls, hasn't had great command even of the sinker. Made a great pitch on Sandoval. I mean, he made the kind of pitch you want to make with 2 strikes, got the ground balls, and then this is pretty much what this year is about, the walks, and then when you do make plays, you don't always get the defense behind you.
Koji Uehara, their closer. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Fought off by Craig. His base hit came in the 4th inning.
And then you get a guy before last year was the best. Nobody even close of leading the National League with runners in scoring position, which is exactly the situations he's hitting in now.
One ball, 2 strike count. Craig will take it down low. Good stop made as Caleb Joseph able to find it. He thought that had gotten by him, but it pinballed.
Yeah, I'm not sure again if he got gloves on it. I don't know if it hit him, the umpire.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Boy, a wild 9th inning. See where this ball went.
See it bouncing way out in front of home plate, and then leg, umpire. Another big break for the Orioles.
One's gone off a shin guard, one off a leg to prevent a run from scoring. 2-2 pitch and a swing and a miss. So the inning is over, but the one big run Boston needed, they got. Manny Machado committed the error, couldn't believe it, allowed the run to score. Bottom of the ninth, 3-3.
have to go to the bottom of the ninth looking for a run as Boston gets a run to tie it.
Well, they can still come back and win this ball game, and they gave it away in that ninth inning, throwing the ball away on a double play ball of all people, Manny Machado. Well, you know what? Let's see what this ball club does. We'll see what they're made of right now.
2 leadoff walks in this game. Boston has made them count, and they've scored. Let's see how it turns out. Back upstairs to Gary and Jim.
So Jim and Rick standing by with the light rain continuing to fall. And the Orioles will get another look at Matt Barnes, who will stay out there to pitch in the bottom of the ninth inning. The Orioles will have 8, 9, and 1 due up here. Run is earned. Really? 1? Oh, you can't assume the double play. Yeah. Okay. So it is an earned run in the ninth inning. Now, there have been some demonstrations outside tonight, and a notice was just put up on the board. The mayor of Baltimore has asked the fans not to leave the ballpark until further notice. So if you see fans standing here and not going out, that's why, as there have been some protests outside the ballpark tonight regarding the shooting that occurred here in Baltimore past week. So folks have been asked to stay, or not a shooting, but a young black man who died in police custody. So that's why fans are going to hang in here. Ground ball will go to second base, knocked down. Pedroia will make the underhanded flip, a pitch and an out, and an 0 for 4 for Joseph.
Yeah, not an easy play because Dustin Pedroia, Gold Glove winner, he's playing in because of the ability to mutt, and he gets to it. Hit very sharply, and just keep it in front of me, which he does, and then scurries after it and tosses it.
So 1 away here in the ninth inning, as Masterson and Chen, the 2 starters who pitched so well, non-decision. Now Alejandro De Aza in the ball game has picked up a double, a run scored, been hit by a pitch, lined out, grounded out, and the pitch is in there for a strike. Well, the Orioles have to regroup here in the bottom of the ninth inning. A ball game tried to put away and get a 1-run win. 0-1, grounded down to first base. It'll be backhanded. Napoli gets it over. Barnes there to cover.
Yeah, Barnes down to AAA Pawtucket, high ERA at 5.62. You would never know the way he's pitched tonight. Good fastball, even better curveball.
He did not expect this morning that he was going to be pitching in Baltimore tonight.
Well, Shane Victorino, and he had the hamstring strain, and you and I are at work with everybody else watching him do all the drills, and I figured he'd say I'm fine. But I guess with hamstrings, they're so sensitive. He had back surgery last year.
He's had continual hamstring and calf problems over the years.
Better to be safe.
Yeah. And the pitch will be taken up high for a ball. Jimmy Paredes, Brad Brock in the bullpen if this goes extra. 2 down, nobody on. Big night. Paredes here in this ball game. Swing and a miss on the pitch on the outside part of the plate if there.
Well, trying to make it 5 for 5 with 2 home runs on that swing.
Double, single, homer, and another single in that order in the ball game. He's had 2 runs scored. 2 RBI ball game for Paredes. 1-1 delivery on the way, and that's outside. Not going after that one. Napoli guarding the line, almost in foul territory at first base. He's way over the left-handed hitter up. Big hole between first and second. 2-1. Set up, down and away again. That's where it was.
Well, if you can hit your spots like that, I mean, that's part of pitching. Hit the glove, a little bit of movement, good velocity, an even better location. And in the back of your mind, especially when you get the 2 strikes, you know he's got that overhand curveball.
So the count 2-2. Barnes working in his second inning of relief. 2-2 pitch on the way, and that'll be put up in the air, headed into foul territory. Ramirez over, and he's got it. So a 1-2-3 inning. We've completed 9 regulation. It is 3-3, and for the Orioles, their first extra inning game of the year. And the ball game's going to go on. Brad Brock on the mound.
Yeah, fastball, slider, and then a real good power changeup. Coming off a nice performance in Toronto, actually working on 6 scoreless innings in a row. Good fastball, good slider, and again a changeup that got better as the season progressed in 2014.
So Brock makes his appearance after Britton worked an inning, a run on 2 hits with a walk that scored, and 2 strikeouts in the ball game. And now Brad Brock here in the top half of the 10th inning. Red Sox have gone 1-0 in extra inning ball games, and as we said for the Orioles, this will be their first extra inning game. Buck Showalter with that almost 55% effectiveness in extra inning games.
Well, 2012 they won 16 in a row. One of the more amazing runs that I've ever been part of. I mean, 16, 17.
Xander Bogaerts in the air to left field. Ball is hit deep, way back, and goodbye home run. Bogaerts on the first pitch thrown by Brock delivers a homer to make it 4-3.
Well, like we mentioned, only David Ortiz with more extra base hits in 2014. Average went down, but he hit 12 home runs, 28 doubles, a triple, and then this is right down the middle. 92. Brad Brock pitching an inning and 2/3, a lot of pitches on Wednesday, and this ball just sails out of here. I mean, off the bat, you know it's going out of here, but very hitter-friendly ballpark, great pitch to hit. It's the hug from David Ortiz, and why not?
So 2 home runs tonight from players who had not had one, Napoli and Bogaerts, each getting their first of the year. That ball to right field, that's going to fall in for a base hit for Hannigan. 2 pitches and 2 hits here in the 10th inning. Hannigan on with his first of the ball game. He is 1 for 4. Brock worked against the Red Sox in the series in Boston in 1 game, an inning and 2/3. Gave up 1 hit with a couple of strikeouts. Not the same here. So the Red Sox take the lead in the 10th, 4-3 on their 8th hit of the ball game. And the top of the order, here's Mookie Betts. Squares to bunt and will take the pitch down low for a ball. No, the Red Sox have answered it. Now Uehara up again as they have a chance to come in for a save.
Well, you'd really like to keep this with 1 run. I mean, Koji came in and did get the save. They did get a couple of hits, double, single last night.
Bunted, first base side, and the flip, and held the bag. Good play by Navarro. Navarro coming in with a cover from second base. It's a sacrifice though, and Hennigan goes to second.
Well, you can see the rain is affecting the footing. Coming a long way. We saw Pedroia slide down, so he gets to do it evenly, and then trying to keep his footing and find the bag. I got the ball. Do I have the bag? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And then gets it with both feet.
Lucky he wasn't stepped on there. So one down. Here's Pedroia. Pedroia got the big walk leading off the ninth and scored the tying run. He is 0 for 3 in the ball game. 1 for 8 in the series. Pedroia down the line, and that will be a foul ball.
Yeah, the amazing number when you look at Dustin Pedroia, I mean, he's been all over the field defensively tonight, is the fact that he's 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position. And you know that's going to change. Brian Mattis, who pitched last night.
Dave Wallace, the pitching coach, is on his way out. We're in the 10th inning. Red Sox have taken a 4-3 lead on the home run by Xander Bogaerts. The other 2 runs scored in the second on a homer by Napoli, and the walk to Pedroia, who would come home on an error on a ground ball by Sandoval in the ninth. Tied it up. Quick discussion.
Yeah,
check with the bullpen.
Yeah, Dave Wallace coming out. And Brad Brock not. I mean, the first pitch was hit for a home run. Hennigan goes to right field, so not his best stuff tonight. But you do have Mattis, who has very good numbers against Ortiz. The reason John Farrell bunted, because you know you're going to probably pitch to Pedroia. That's not always easy, even though the numbers are low now. And then again, you get another good matchup unless you bring in a lefty, and that's why Mattis is up in the bullpen.
1 ball, 1 strike count. Ortiz, who's had so much trouble with Brian Mattis over the years. Here's the 1-1 delivery on the way, and that's outside. Count goes to 2-1 on Pedroia. Runner at second base is Hennigan. Trying to be held close by Navarro. Ray Navarro trying to keep him there so he doesn't get that big secondary lead. Orioles bullpen coming into the day, 9th in the American League in ERA. 2 ball, 1 strike count. Pedroia lets it go. So the count goes 3-1.
And that's probably the other part of the conversation with Dave Wallace, is that I know you don't want to pitch around Pedroia because you won't be facing the next guy, but we can't afford to give up another run. So make your pitches to Dustin Pedroia. If you don't, we'll bring in Mattis to face Ortiz.
Here's the 3-1 delivery, and wanted nothing to do with him. So the walk, third picked up by the Red Sox in the ballgame. 2 of those picked up by Pedroia. And that will set the stage here in the 10th inning for Brian Mattis to come out of the bullpen and match up yet one more time with Ortiz. The Red Sox have taken the lead on a home run by Bogaerts. 1 down, 2 on in the 10th. 4-3 Boston.
you can see a lot of changeups, something he worked on to be able to get the righties out. The number that you talked about, 3 for 25. Brian, the only number that really jumps out is just 7 walks. It's kind of a malady that's affected a lot of the Oriole pitchers, but 7 walks in 7 innings. And what he's able to get Ortiz out usually with is a pretty good power slider.
So Brian Mattis comes on with 1 away. Red Sox have 2 on, first and second. 1 run in here in the 10th inning. And Ortiz will take the pitch down low for a ball. He's had an 0 for 4 in the ball game, 2 for 9 in the first 2 games of this series. And obviously, chance here to do some real damage, and that's why Brian Mattis is in. 1-0 pitch, ground ball. That's the one they wanted. Tag put on, throw to first. Base runner came out of the baseline anyway and is called out by Chris Conroy, the second base umpire. So Mattis gets it done. We go to the bottom of the 10th inning, a run in on the homer by Bogaerts, and the Red Sox lead it by 1. Now John Farrell has come out. The question, the call here, it's not about the tag, whether it was made or not. The umpire, Chris Conroy, signaled he was calling the out because the base runner had left the running lane.
Yeah, nice pitch by Brian. So he gets the ground ball, and it's not routine because of the shift. So right there, I mean, he's maybe 2 feet onto the grass. He kind of dove that way, but I'm not sure that's where he was when Cabrera tried to tag him. I'm sure that's what John Farrell is arguing. Of course, this inning's still alive if you don't call him out. There's Ortiz. He's trying to stay out of the double play, and so right here he's going to go tag him, and then
like he tagged him anyway.
Yeah.
So either way, he's out of there. We go to the bottom of the 10th inning. On to try and finish this ball game up. They're closing.
Yeah, and if you look at this, I looked at it, it was 89 to 11% fastballs. I'm going, no, that's a misprint. But actually, last night, I don't think he threw a fastball for a strike. All split-fingered fastballs. He did get the save. I don't know if the velocity was about 86. That's probably 3 miles per hour below the norm. But again, he had a hamstring problem in spring training, so didn't get as many innings. And looking, he turned 40 years old on April 3rd.
Young man.
May have not affected his ability to throw a lot of strikes. 26 saves last year, 21 the year before. for the Red Sox.
O'Hara this year has won a game and is 1 for 1 in save opportunities against the Orioles. Lifetime 5 for 5 in save chances against the O's. Adam Jones 1 for 4 off the reliever. It'll be Jones, Davis, and Lowe due up. Adam with a base hit, 1 for 4. Picked up a single back in the 3rd inning. Paredes and Davis had RBIs in the 1st. Paredes had a home run in the 5th.
Yeah, it's almost like the fastball now is for show. 85 up and out of the zone, right back to the splitter.
Misses down low. 2 ball 1 strike count.
Count really ought to be 3-0. I mean, Adam Jones, of course, he didn't agree with the first strike. He just lets it go because you don't have any other recourse.
Two and 1. Pitch on the way. Trying to tie it up. Fouls it back. 2 ball 2 strike count. 2 and 2 here in the 10th inning. Orioles 2 and 3 in 1-run games. The Red Sox are 4 and 1 in 1-run ball games this season.
And you can see it's getting colder.
It is cold. Breeze blowing out towards left field. Picked up during the game. And Adam Jones will step out.
Yeah, we saw Koji Uehara when he came to the Orioles in 2009. He actually started games. 12 starts that year, and he had a little bit of a slider, but hasn't thrown it in recent years.
2-2. That's a looper. Could fall. Diving, and it gets by. Adam Jones on his way to second base. Betts backing it up. Jones will go to third. He'll go in with no play on him. And the Orioles get the potential tying run to third. Bottom of the 10th and nobody out.
Yeah, kind of a strange play. You do have Brock Holt you could put on defense. Farrell doesn't do it. And then all of a sudden, I mean, he just serves it out great. Two-out approach. And then you get the dive. And the minute goes by and you know it's going to be at least a double coming out of the box, thinking at third base, and that's where he ends up.
So Adam Jones getting his first triple as Craig. That ball looked like it actually went by him.
Yeah, he's not an outstanding outfielder. You had some options. You don't make the move, and we'll see if it makes a big difference. Not only, I mean, that's your tying run. Now the winning run, Chris Davis at the plate.
The infield will be drawn in. Chris Davis up. Davis a base hit his last time up. RBI sac fly his first time up. Shift is on against him, leaving that big hole between third and second. And the pitch by Koji will be outside for a ball. So the Orioles get their 10th hit of the game, and immediately a chance to get the ball game tied up again. 4-8-0 for the Red Sox, 3-10-1 for the Orioles. Pitch to Davis, swing and a miss and a pitch away. He's gone 2 for 10 lifetime off Koji.
Yeah, he's just trying to get something up in the air.
Second time Gosman's been up. The other time was an hour ago. 1 ball 1 strike count. O'Hara's delivery in the air, left field. Ball game's going to be tied. Ramirez, he'll make the catch. Adam Jones makes sure. Throw coming to the plate, not in time. And it's a 4-4 game in the 10th inning. 2 sac flies in the game for Chris Davis.
It just kind of reached out. A little splitter that stayed up. And the game is tied.
So the Orioles get it right back. And Koji Uehara will be charged with a tough blown save. So both closers have had blown saves in the ballgame tonight, Zach Britton and Koji Uehara. And we're knotted at 4. Davis 2 RBIs. First at bat, David Lowe came on as a pinch runner. Stayed in the game to play in the outfield. David gets an opportunity, and there haven't been many of those. There's Jones, who scored to tie the ball game up. Lowe will take it. It'll be away for a ball. Started the ball game at 52 degrees. Weather Bureau says we are down to 46 right now in Baltimore. At least the rain has let up, if not all but stopped for the moment. That'll catch the inside corner. Lowe is taking, trying to draw the walk, and a 2-ball, 1-strike count on it. Well, this is a ball game that's got some extra legs to it for both of these teams. Both have had the leads in the game. 2-1 delivery. Lowe out in front. 2-2.
Yeah, Koji's split is almost unhittable when it starts as a strike and goes to a ball. The only ones that are hittable when it goes from a ball to a strike.
2-2, trying to muscle that one up, and it'll miss down low. 3-2. The Orioles love to get low on here. Speed, potential winning run with Manny Machado waiting on deck. John Farrell, but Showalter will manage their way through the decisions that have cost. 3-2 pitch. That one is ladled way back, right field. Ball game over. Goodbye, home run. David Lowe, a walk-off homer in the 10th inning, and the Orioles win 5-4.
Well, like I said, if you throw it from a ball to a strike, that's what happens. And he crushes this ball. So a pretty dramatic way to end a 5-game losing streak.
The Red Sox had their comeback. The Orioles have theirs. And the Orioles is the last one. They win their first extra inning ball game of the year. A 1-run affair. They're now 3-3 in 1-run games. It'll make a winner out of Ryan Mattis, and Uehara will take the loss.
Now watch this splitter kind of settle into the strike zone. The good one starts belt high and goes down. This one starts above the letters right into the hitting zone. And the Orioles are on the winning board. Yeah, look at that face.
Joanne Johnson, our Maryland lottery contestant, another $500. Congratulations. The Orioles get the win. First home run of the season. That'll do it. Sets up the rubber match tomorrow. But Norris on the mound against Wade Miley. Our coverage on Masson at 1 O's Extra, presented by Southwest Game at 1:30 on Masson and WJZ. This has been a Masson presentation. O's Extra, presented by PNC, coming up right now. Jim and Rick standing by, and a happy recap it will be. For Jim Palmer and all of our crew here at Camden Yards, I'm Gary Thorne. Do.